You're listening to the Beans and Dice podcast, a podcast about how we game.
Hey folks, welcome to the Beans and Dice podcast. I'm Carlos.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Wayne.
And we're a podcast about
How we game.
Thursday nights, though, it's about how you game.
Absolutely.
It is our call-in show.
Woo.
Welcome to the show, folks.
Wah.
Thank you for joining in. If you're in the live stream, if you're watching, just please comment in on the audio. Kind of just keep us in check. Let us know everything's good to go. I've been messing around with some of the audio stuff, playing around with new microphones for other stuff. So I just want to make sure I didn't mess anything
Don't
up.
mess anything up.
I don't want to mess anything up.
Playing with stuff.
Anyway, well, it is Thursday night. We don't have any specific topics tonight. We're going to go over the games we've played.
Sure.
We'll talk about what you've been up to, right? And hopefully y'all call in and provide that.
Yeah, give some content.
Because it's really kind of slow in the news.
Yeah.
Not a lot of news.
Seen a whole lot lately. Yeah, I'm still catching up on the Dice Tower Top 100. I think I was telling Carlos I'm in the 20 to 10 range, 20 to 11. So I think I'm on like number 17. So I can predict. It's getting to that point where you can kind of predict almost all the games that are going to be up on their top of their list. But still fun to watch their banter. So
Yes.
I'm gonna try to finish that out here in the next 24 hours. But yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, not too many change in the top 20 or 30. They get a couple of changes here and there, but
Yeah. I was a little surprised at how many games are hitting the top 25 that are brand new games. Not a whole lot, but a couple of them seem to be making it in each of the lists. And I don't know, top 25 for me, gosh, it feels like even, if a game has come out in the last year, even if I really, really like it, I don't know that I would put it in my top 20 of all time just because I kind of have this feeling it needs to stand the test of time. And I don't want to do the cult of the new thing. And I don't want to be influenced by, this is a brand new thing. Everybody's talking about it. I don't know. For me, I want to push that off. I don't know if y'all feel the same way at all, but I don't know that I would take a brand new game. Like I say, no matter how much I liked it, if it just came out 6 months ago, 8 months ago, if I would put that in my all-time top, let's say top 20, or maybe top 15 even for me. I mean, they've played thousands of games. I haven't played thousands of games like they have. But so for me, the comparison would probably be top 10 or top 15. But I can't see a brand new game making it into my top 10, let's say 10, 15 all time.
I'm kind of with you there. I mean, I think that the difference is you look at somebody like the Dice Tower or some of the other content creators that are not us, I guess.
Yeah.
They play all the new hotness, right? And they probably don't play it more than a couple. They don't play the same game over and over again or go back to old tried and true. Especially Dice Tower folks, they got to get through hundreds of new games a year.
Yeah.
So I think their list is gonna be a little colored by that they have some games that are just their all-time favorites, like the Cosmic Encounter or the Radis or whatever, from various people. But then a new hotness is going to creep into their list, I think, a little bit more, higher than some of us maybe that but I am with you. If I play a game today, I'm like, this is an amazing game. I don't know if it's going to make my top 10, top 15 of all time.
Yeah.
But the more we play games, the more right. Yeah. So it's almost like someone who's got the nose for coffee or for wine. They're practiced. They understand how to taste, how to get that palate right. They can recognize when, this is good, and it is better than this.
It's going to stand the test of time.
Right.
Yeah. But that's also hard, though, because, especially, we've all been gaming for 10, 15, 20, for a while, right? So I have a pretty good top 15, top 20 games where, if you're going to break into that group, you got to be something special,
Yeah, pretty special, yeah.
But that's biases. That's that biases that you have for the love of those games, right? So those games, your Castles of Burgundies are going to have so many positive experiences in your history that although you may play a game that is mechanically better, right, that is thematically better, that is aesthetically better, like all the beans, all the BEA, no ends, right?
All the base.
All of it is good, right?
Yeah.
But because you have that bias of the love and the experiences that you've had with family, friends in that other game, you feel like you have to make that new game it's gotta be a little bit lower.
That may be like your top 5 or maybe 5 or 10, but like top 20, like that 10 to 20 are all really good games that aren't I've talked about a lot, like Burgundy and Brass and Concordia, probably my top 3, right? It's going to take something fantastic to break one of those 3 out of that top 3, right? But
Yeah.
my number 15, like, I am surprised. I mean, like, I like Heat. I like Heat a lot. I don't know if it's a top 20 game of all time for me. I like Earth. I like Earth a lot. No, that's a lie. I like Earth. I like Earth a lot.
That's better. That's better.
That's
I feel
better.
better with that.
But
Have you watched much of the top 10
I watched
yet?
it all. Yeah, I watched all of theirs. I just and
Do you
I
love
watched
Earth as much as others are proclaiming to love Earth?
no, not close.
I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't either.
You brought it
I don't
up,
either.
and I'm interrupting you, but
Yeah, no, go
I-
for it. Yeah,
Rob brought
Well,
up
'cause
the
I wanna throw
top
that out there
10s.
because like all of them are like, and it's not just the Dice Tower too. It's like all the other content creators that did like top 50 lists, or all of them came
Yeah.
out with their top games of all time over the last couple months, and so many of them had Earth in like the top 50, top 25.
I don't
and I'm
see
like,
it. I don't see it.
Yeah.
What?
And like-
I'm sorry, I just don't get it. I know it's an okay game. It's a good game. I'll say that it's better than good. It's better than okay. It's a good game, but I just don't get it. Yeah. Anyway.
I don't see it.
Yeah, me either. Yeah, way too fiddly, and it's got too many negatives. I mean, it gives me some good feelings, but it gives me some bad feelings too. So I don't get it.
Like I've played it like a bunch on BGA now, and I'm like, I don't know if I need to play this again in physical. Like I might play it on BGA every now and then. I'm not even like itching. Like I just created like 50 new games on BGA that I posted our Discord server, plug for our Discord server. And I was like, what I do is I go to games and all the games I played, and I like, oh, I haven't played that in a while. I haven't played that, or I'm flipping games, and I just create a list, and I just go in and create them all, and then post them. And I'm like, Earth, nah, I don't feel like playing it
Pass.
right now.
Didn't even set it up. Yeah.
Didn't even set it up. So.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I just there's certain games that I get why they get hype and why they're good, and then there are some games that I just don't quite understand the hype.
Earth is one of them for me.
Yeah, like I understood Wingspan. I understand Heat. I think Heat's a really good game. I think with expansions and more
Especially for what it does.
Yeah.
You brought up Heat. Earth fits in with so many other games right now. Right after Terraforming Mars, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Tableau building, engine building,
Yeah.
Area board stuff. Like there's just so many of them. Whereas Heat, as a racing game, it automatically shoots to the top because there's not that many good racing games, automotive racing games.
Yeah.
Right? There are different kinds of racing
the
games.
Snowtails and the Flamme Rouge and
Flamme Rouge, yeah.
Most
But
tend
like-
to be most racing games tend to be very random, more Ameritrash in style. Am I wrong, Robert? Would you agree with
yeah,
that?
they're
more
not as
more
early,
Ameritrashy?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
You think about like a Formula
Formula
Day. That's
Day.
the one. You said it,
Formula
Wayne. You're chucking D20s, right?
which I love that game. That's a fun game. I actually have a lot of fun with that.
Even Rallyman GT,
Yeah.
right? Or is it
And,
Rallyman?
Lots of luck there. Yeah.
Rallyman GT, Rallyman Dirt, all those.
They're all much more random, whereas in Heat,
Heat. Yeah.
you're controlling much more.
I still feel like I don't know. Like I know I mentioned this last week, and I think Carlos, you disagreed a little bit. I think Rob agreed with me that like, even in a lot, I've played Heat a bunch. I feel like there's still a runaway leader issue. Like I think a lot of racing games, like the Rallyman and Formula D, and I feel like in a lot of games, maybe not every game you play, but in a lot of games there tends to be just a runaway leader where it's hard to catch up to somebody that's had a couple of good plays in a row or a couple of good flops of their hand in a row. They get through those corners a little faster and they're gone. And, there's no catching up, which we're in Flamme Rouge. I think it's harder to do that. If you bust out and break out too early, you run out of steam. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know. I've played a fair amount of Heat on BGA. I played a couple times in person. I don't know how often I could. It is hard to catch up. Runaway leader to me kind of means that somebody blows everybody away. I haven't seen too many games where one person blows everybody away, but when one person gets the lead, they tend to stay in the lead. Although it seems to. For me, at least, there is a perception that it's close. It seems like the pack kind of does stay kind of close behind that person. But again, once somebody establishes, I don't know how many squares, but a certain lead.
Initiative. Maybe that runaway leader is probably maybe a little harsh of a term.
Yeah.
But what I've seen is like whoever gets that early lead, or especially depending on the track, if you get into a corner where there's a couple of turns, if somebody gets through those turns in sort of like a perfect sequence, then they kind of just
they're like 2 turns ahead.
And it's like, especially with heat, if you play it right, if you manage your cards right and heat right and manage it right, you keep the lead, you're going to keep it. But with like Rallyman, you can be in the lead and, one wrong push and you roll that extra die and you spin out. That gives everyone a whole turn to catch up. I don't quite see that as much in heat. Like the only time I've seen in the last 4 or 5 games of heat I've played where people are spinning out or whatever, when you go through a corner too quick, because there was one map where there was a corner where it was like a 4 corner, but no one realized it was actually a 4 corner. It was like kind of hard to see the map.
I think I played that game with you. Yeah, I just blew right through that. I played like a 15 or something and way overshot that turn. Yeah,
and everybody did it except for one person. And that person, but other than that, it's hard. But yeah, I don't know. Interesting.
Yep.
Well, we're talking about the top 100 list that Dice Tower was posting. We were talking about how they decide what to place where. That's what got us into this topic. And I wanted to bring up, because Wayne, we had talked before about our top 20 list, which is behind Rob. You can see it there behind him. How we're talking about this year, how do we decide what to put on there? And we talked about it being experiences. Like you had mentioned it, and I kind of agreed with you that it's going to be what game experience that I have with that game that earns its spot on that. So not just the most mechanically sound game, not just the best quality game, but the experience.
Yeah, the fun factor. Did I have fun playing this game in that time with the people I played it with?
And this is where I struggled with, because we were just talking about how the Dice Tower makes decisions on how to place new games into their permanent top 100.
Yeah.
Right. I've never done a top 10 list, any top list, until last year with this board. That was the first time I ever did it, because I've always found it very hard to make those decisions. Like, how do you decide what's better than what? Especially because I suffer from a lot of recency bias. Like, if I recently played something and I had a really good time or just a good time, right? Like, suddenly it's better than everything else I played this year, right? And then the next game I play, whatever it is, I'm having so much fun that it's suddenly better than everything else I've played this last year. So I struggle with remembering what was good, what wasn't good. I don't know, Wayne. How do you?
Yeah, I'm like the opposite of you, though. I feel like you and I are the exact opposite. Like, Carlos, I see it every time you play a game. You're like, oh, this is awesome, I gotta buy it, or this is a great game, this is the best game ever. We play it like 16 times in a row because it's the greatest game ever. Whereas I feel like I have my games that are just my top games, and man, it's really hard for me to go, that's better than that, right? So it's like, it's the Castle Burgundy, Concordia, Rococo, Brass, like those are the top 4. And I've just, many of those are, I think the newest of those 4 is maybe Concordia, right?
Wow.
And so, I think, because I think Rococo predates Concordia. I think Brass does, and I think Castles does. So I think Concordia is probably the newest of the 4.
2017 is Concordia,
something like that.
Yeah, somewhere maybe up there.
So, like, you're talking 7-8 years. I can't think of a game in the last 7 or 8 years that I would play over those 4, right? So I'm the exact opposite of you. So I think that's good, though, is like, I feed off of your recency bias, and you've definitely fed off of my love of the old
classics.
On the classics, right? So
I'm like the Mick to your Starla.
Oh yeah. What a couple!
I'm the hype man.
Maybe.
It's so amazing.
But Rob, where do you fall?
Well, circling back to where I kind of started was I definitely I don't know if it's thinking back about experiences. I don't know if it's the recency biases or whatever, but I'm that way with games that I purchase as well. And we've talked about that before, that I'm very selective in what I purchase. I normally don't buy games until I've played it 2 or 3 or 4 times, and I know that it's a game that I want to own. It does something kind of unique that I don't already own, and it's going to stay on my shelf for a long time. I'm not interested in buying games that I might flip and get rid of in a year if I get bored of them or whatever. So I like to play a game, know that it's going to have longevity. So I think that kind of leans more towards where you're at, Wayne. And if I, and again, I'm not sure how much it relates, but it's if I play a new game, no matter how much I like it, like I say, it's going to jump in my mind. All right, is this just a recency bias thing? I need to play this 2 or 3 more times. I need to, even though I know that this is the mechanics that I like, this is the game length that I like, it's got the lack of theme that I like. So the lack of theme,
it's
dry.
the lack.
The lack
It's
of theme.
the lack of it. Not that it has theme. It's lacking theme.
Yeah.
Get that
So
theme right out of my face.
Yeah. So I'm not necessarily trying to anchor onto the classics, but there are games that I just know that I enjoy, that I like, and I like you, Wayne. I think it's really going to be hard for games to break into that top level there until I've played them. They've been around a few years, and I know. And I'm wondering how much, and this kind of just jumped in my head here, I wonder how much of it is influenced by the other people around me, how much they like the game, because that will influence how much I think I'm going to table it, how much play it's going to get in the future, whether I want to own it, whether somebody else in the group that I play with regularly might own it. I wonder how much all that really comes into without, giving it a lot of pre-thought. I think that has to have something to do with it. Even if I like a game and I've played it, let's say I played it with a couple other people and everybody else was kind of lukewarm on it, and I really liked it. I don't know, maybe I'm just a follower, not a leader, but I think I would back off of that a bit and be like, oh, well, I enjoyed that, but it's not going to get much play, so let's move on to the next thing. So I don't know.
I think you're there though. I think the greater sort of Beans and Dice community, we've all been gaming a lot in the last couple of years together, and it does seem like there's some people in our group that like Earth, right? Let's go back to the Earth thing real quick.
Oh yeah.
But then a lot of us are all like, But if I bet you if like Carlos, you had played Earth, right, and then brought it out to the group and were hyping it, that first play experience we had might have been different.
Kind of differently,
right? First time I played Earth was with some of the folks from the crew I think at Dice Tower, and they were like, "Yeah, this is an okay game," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, great. It's okay, right?"
Yeah.
But if I had gone into it with people who were like, "This is the greatest game ever," right? Or like when I played Castle with you guys, when I played Concordia with you guys, Rob, I played Rococo with you and Michelle and Nick, and I'm like, "This is a great game. And it's this and that," right?
Yeah.
So I think you have that right there is also a very valid point. Is like, amongst your game group, there's a bias as well in how it's taught, how it's talked about.
Back to the experiences piece.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I'll say, Robert, you don't always fall for the group hype because what's the one I'm thinking of, the
Not Ark Nova.
alien style.
Yes, it's the Aliens, the board game.
Yes,
Nemesis.
Everybody loved it.
Yeah.
Everybody. And Rob's joined in multiple times now.
A couple times now. Yeah.
And every time he comes out of there like, nope,
never again. And I play it again, but
it always seems to go back to it though.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing, we need to play Nemesis with Robbie.
Oh yeah, well,
I've actually never played Nemesis, so.
Neither have I, and part of it is back to watching Rob's disappointment. Every time he shows up to play it, he tells me how much he hated it afterwards.
And I get sucked in because again I go in and it's like everybody else is playing it because it plays like 6 people or something, and so every time it's like we got a table of 5, we need one more to fill this up, and Rob's not in a game. Let's grab Rob, and I bow to peer pressure. If people put that pressure, I'm like, oh, all right, let's make it the full 6-player experience. I'll play. I'm not gonna like it, but I'll play it. So
but it's funny because I tend to be there when that's happening.
Oh, yeah.
And I look at Rob, are you sure?
Yeah.
Like last time you told me that was the last time. Last time you said that would be the last time you ever played again.
Next to last time, yeah.
Exactly.
Real quick, we got Daryl in the comments. He said, unlike Terraforming Mars and Ark Nova, Earth provides simultaneous play and a layout of your tableau matters. Absolutely. I think that may be the one thing, but I think, I don't know. Earth is probably faster than both of those, but it's still, that's a good. The simultaneous play does help with that. Yeah.
Except for the one time I'm going to harken back though to the first time I played it, and I had that engine going early, and I had a bunch of cards out early, and every round I felt the pressure of everybody else was done with their round, and then I was still playing and playing and playing. So the simultaneous play, I guess simultaneous was better than nothing else because people were at least using up part of the time that I was playing my turn. But I felt weird that every round I was the last one to go, and I don't know that didn't thrill me. Yeah,
you feel pressure on you. And I think this is about Earth. This is about heat. Sorry, Daryl said that it's hard to take the lead, especially if you're a few places back. Yeah, and he's only played it on BGA. But yeah, I think that's true. It's hard. Like that if the person who gets the lead is a good player and knows the
Right.
cards and knows how to manipulate it, it's
Yep.
going to be very hard to catch up to them.
That's what I was about to say. Unless the leader makes a mistake somewhere, which sometimes that can be forced because of the cards, but unless they make a mistake somewhere, it's hard to catch them.
Yeah.
And what we're talking about right now, I know we're talking about Heat and Earth a lot here, but really the topic right now for the start of the show has been the top 100 on the Dice Tower. We're specifically focusing in on these two games because they're newer games that somehow have made it like rocketed, like straight up to the top of these top 100 lists on the Dice Tower. We're just not sure how we would introduce newer games. So folks, comment in the YouTubes, comment in our Discord. Let us know what are your thoughts on how do you rank games. So if you're doing a top 100, a top 20, how do you rank your games? How do you introduce new games? What's your criteria for saying a new game is way better than the classics that you've loved?
Yeah.
Anyway,
all right.
Sorry, go ahead, Carlos.
We'll open up the phone lines early.
Yeah, all right.
a little early. Yeah, so if somebody wants to call in and chime in on.
Yeah, so one thing though, if you watch the top 20 list, I know that Comic Hunters made, I think Mike at least got,
I just hit that, so I think that's like number 17 or 18 for him. So that's right where I'm at is that point. So
but they've talked about like don't go out and overspend on it because there is going to be a U.S. published version this year potentially.
That's what they were saying. Yeah, Tom was like.
So amongst all the podcasts and social media and stuff that I listened to, what I gleaned was the comic book covers there's rights to them, right? And I guess there was some of the comic book covers in the Brazilian version, they couldn't get the rights to them for the US. So they're going to swap, like it's probably going to be like mostly the same game, but some of the comic book covers are going to get swapped out because of copyright or other legal issues. Carlos, if you're going to be, so this is non sequitur, but I'm bringing that game this Sunday. So if you're at the Tampa Gaming Guild flea market and after gaming, we're going to get Comic Hunters in, so you can finally.
Still hasn't played it yet, huh?
No,
I might just scoop it up and take it home with me. I don't know. We'll see.
Well,
feeling cute. Might take it with me.
Sounds like he's not planning a game. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm planning to be there for the flea market. Like that's the big draw for me this weekend.
Okay.
Is that flea market? I'm really trying to. I've been wanting to score a copy of anyway. I got a list of games.
What's the list of games? What are you looking for?
No, I'm gonna try to
be surprised.
There's a few.
I'm really only looking for Final Girl right now. If
that's one of them.
I saw you post that up. That in the news. Where is it, or was it in the Kickstarter or whatever?
You can still do late pledge in the Game Found. There's a little hiccup there, right? So like I actually added the season 1 bundle, which was $179. But if you go to their website, you can do that bundle for $179, but it's actually missing. There's less in it. There's more in the Game Found version than there is in the one on their website. There's about 3 or 4 things that are not in the 2. The problem is, so I added the season 1 bundle as an add-on and tried to check out, and it said you had to do something you have to buy something from the season 3 Kickstarter Game Found thing first. So you'd have to buy like the intro box, and then you can also buy the season 1 bundle. So then it jacks it up to like it's like $179 for each season. So like season 1, season 2, like everything, and then you have to still buy something. So yeah, it would be like I priced that. I was like $570 to buy all 3 seasons of everything ever produced. And I'm like,
Did you delete the cart or did you leave it in the cart for you to think about?
It's still in my cart.
He's waiting for the email that says, "Hey, your cart is still here. Here's 50% off."
Still waiting for you. Oh, no, I'm probably not 50%, but here's $5 off.
Well, and what's funny is on their website too, they had a Christmas bundle with 2. They had like it's like the Krampus and then they had like the Santa's Village, like a little 2-pack.
Oh yeah.
Like, that sounds good.
Really, there was a lot of content in that stuff that you posted. There were storybooks and picture books and all kinds of stuff. So yeah.
It's cool. Yeah, that's the big one that I'm kind of quasi looking for. I don't know. We'll see. I can see that eventually somebody's gonna be like people who bought everything. There's gonna be some sales, some people selling them in the next year or so. So I'll probably wait for that.
Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'll probably browse the dregs of the flea market just to kind of see what's laying around there. But I'm going mostly for the gaming, or almost exclusively for the gaming. So I'm planning to hang out and game afterwards. But yeah, well, I'm going to miss Wesley Chapel game day on Saturday. That's going to be over at the Groves over at.
That's right. That's also this weekend.
Yeah, that's the Saturday. I don't know what time that starts, but
Like
I was
12:30 to 6, but I think it probably would go later than if people are gaming. But yeah, it starts at like 12:30. Yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping to make both of them, but I can't make that one.
I'm iffy on that one. My kids, soccer. I'm turning into that that
Soccer dad.
is like, oh, soccer, But
soccer.
no, this wouldn't be so bad. He's only got a game, but it's all all the way in Riverview. So for those of you that don't know so Tampa Bay is there's viewers here. Tampa Bay is a giant area. Hillsborough County, which is just the county that encompasses Tampa. From one corner to the next, it could be like an hour and a half drive just in the county.
I think our school district is like one of the top 10 largest school districts in the country.
Yeah, it's like number 6. It's
right.
Yeah, we're like 6 or 7 in the country. Yeah, it's massive. It's
that's how big of an area Hillsborough County, our main county here, encompasses.
Yeah. So it's so it's like I got to get all the way to Riverview for game, then get all the way home, and then get all the way to Wesley Chapel. It's like, yeah, we'll see. I'm hoping to make that, but I'm definitely making the Sunday one, which is going to be fun.
Well, Chester's making his list, and Chester Wilson in the chat says, I take a 5 games for Doomsday approach, but new games are cool too. So we were asking about how do you make your list. See, that's the tough part. If you tell me the list has to be, these are the only games you're going to have left.
Yeah.
Like you're on an island, this is it. That really does shoot out a lot of games that I would normally put maybe on my top 20 experiences for the year or my.
Oh yeah, different list.
It's like they have to be solid and more of like Wayne's idea, where replayability has to be established. Like the cred has to be there.
Yeah. Yep. We got Nick and Ober telling me I better make it. Nick, I'll message you. We'll see what's going on there. And then Chester saying that is one big county. Yeah, Hillsborough County is.
It's big, and it's also the congestion. It's the density of the traffic and the number of people that are in Hillsborough County and all that stuff too. So,
but even I live in the northwest portion of the county, right? So you guys are a little less than me, but I'm basically just about on the borderline of the next county. And my kid's game is in Riverview, which is in the southeastern portion,
far corner,
so northwest to southeast. That drive, even with no traffic at all. Like doing 80, 75 miles an hour. It's a 45.
Clean that up real quick.
Hold on, back off. I'm on record here.
No, even do like 70. Come on,
no officer.
No officer. I was not doing so. No, but it is still legitimately a 45-minute drive with no traffic on the highway. That's a pretty big county. I mean, do you think about that? So.
Geographically, yeah, for sure. Cool.
Phone lines are open. 813-618-7099 is the number.
Yeah, Nick, I'm leaving it open for Saturday just in case. Me and the family are supposed to go to SeaWorld, although I hear the high on Saturday is only supposed to be in the 50s. And for us in Florida, high in the 50s means don't go outside. So
listen.
Sunday's even colder. Sunday morning's going to be in the 30s.
Is it really hot? It's crazy.
Yeah,
say what you want.
In the morning too.
I've got in my bedroom, I've got my little space heater, like little radiant heater already going, warming up my area.
Yeah, I bet.
Because I can't, I'm sorry, it's Florida.
Can't deal with the cold.
My blood is too thin for that. Can't do it.
I tell you what, it is a different kind of cold though. It's that wet, it's a wet cold that just gets in your bones. And it could be 50, but you're like freezing.
Yeah, it's been chilly. Yeah.
Well, let's go through some games that we've played while we wait for phone calls to come in. We'll highlight different games that we played. I'll kick us off.
Yeah, go ahead. I haven't played much. Yeah,
I want to talk about my play of Concordia because I played some Concordia, but I also got to play in with the Solitaria expansion, as they call it. But I didn't play it solo. I've only played it as team play. So I really wanted to highlight some of the differences from Concordia to the team play. Concordia is a economic game. Yeah. It's ancient
card drafting. It's
area control.
Card drafting.
Where you're taking your colonists, which are on the board that are equal, either land or sea colonists, and you're moving them on routes in order to establish cities as trading posts almost. To establish yourself into new cities that provide different goods. You can have tools, you can have food, you can have cities that make brick, you have cities that make wine, you have cities that make textiles. So in in these cities.
They pull it up or something. Yeah.
I'm talking with
Or
my
when you
hands.
can
I
pull it up
can't.
maybe while
I
you're
can't.
talking.
I
Go
can't do
ahead.
it at the same time.
I'm like, I can do that. Damn it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're establishing these cities on this ancient boards and multiple ancient locations. The amount of boards that they've come out with so far: Britannia, you've got Italy, you've got Rome, you've got Germania. There's so many different boards
I've only
available.
played that first one. Yeah.
I've got a few more now, Rob.
I'll try 'em, yeah.
Woo. So it's all about getting your colonists out off your tableau or off your board into the map, and then spreading them out to then establish cities. These cities are going to activate to then provide you resources. You're going to use those resources to then trade them for money, right? So you can trade it for money, or you can use those resources to buy more cards. It's Matt Gertz is the designer, and I've heard folks call this a rondel game with cards, right? Because you're going to have actions that you're going to do by playing cards from your hand. You're going to keep playing cards from your hand until you either can't play any more cards, and then you play a Tribune card in order to pick up all the cards you've already played. But you get to buy more cards from the market. When you buy cards from the market, you're going to spend resources. So that's why you really want to establish your cities in places that will activate by other players, so that when they're activating provinces, those cities in those provinces that you own will provide you resources. Right? So it's got this interaction piece where when you take an action to activate a province, Robert, I get resources because I have cities there.
Sure.
Even more importantly, when you go to build in a city, it costs twice as much if you're the second person to build there.
Right.
It costs 3 times as much if you're the third person to build there, and so on, up to 5 players. In the game, in the solo, let's talk solo or team play, not solo. In the team play version from the Solitaria expansion,
yeah.
what's cool about it, Robert, is we're both on the same side. We're both playing against a bot. So this is the same bot that's in the solo. So I feel like it's going to be easy for me to understand the solo system. But when you take an action now using one of your cards, every card has a letter C on it. And that's for Contrarius. Contrarius is the bot. Cool name, right?
Yeah.
The bad guy. Whenever you take an action with a card, the card says what Contrarius will do. So you know what the bot will do, how the bot will react
For every card you
for
play.
every card you play. So anytime the bot does something that gives them a bunch of points, you can only blame yourself.
Yeah.
Because you knew it was going to happen because you played the card. What's interesting about the team play is, Robert, you will play a card as first player. You activate the action on that card. I follow you with that same action. So I use that same action without playing a card. So I use the same action you did, and then Contrarius reacts to the card. So that's where the team play comes in, where you might say, hey, Carlos, I need the prefect so that I can get some goods and activate these provinces. I don't have any more prefects because I've played them all. Can you play one? Right. So on my turn, I will play the prefect. I prefect, you prefect, Contrarius follows us.
So it's open communication.
The rulebook says as much communication as you desire.
Oh, okay.
So you can choose how much level of communication, where we can play it like the crew.
None.
No talking.
Yep.
Zippo. So we just kind of got to look at what we have and kind of get an idea what we need. But it's nice because it changes the aspect of the game. It goes from a competitive, I'm trying to do things to not help you, to completely different where, you know what, I want to activate that province now because you have cities there, I have cities there. And by activating that province, we both get stuff for doing that. So like we're trying to do things to help each other, and we share a pool of money. Anytime you take an action, you need money, you can take from your friend. You can't take resources, but you can take money.
Wow, okay.
What's interesting is they add a new scoring god. So every card not only has an action, I described the cards having actions, right? Every card that you play has an action. It does something different, such as the prefect card, which activate provinces that provide goods, or the mercator card, the market card, which allows you to buy and sell goods. You can trade to get some money. The senator card allows you to buy new cards off the board. All right, so I'm trying to think of all the other cards available.
Wayne's got some pictures of
The
one.
Tribune card allows you to pick up all your cards that you've already played and kind of restart. The Architect allows you to move your colonist and then build in the cities where they move to. Right, so all these cards that you're going to play are going to do different things. In addition to that, every card has a god. And that's what you can see here. The Architect has Jupiter, who's going to score you 1 point for every house you have that's a non-brick house. Right? So the more houses you put out there, the more you're going to score. Well, see, now you're going to want to buy a bunch of more Jupiter
Jupiters,
cards because for every Jupiter card is going to give you a point. So there's that market up there. You're trying to buy cards. I'll tell you, Contrarius, like just about every turn, is taking cards. That bot is stealing cards so fast off the board, and that triggers the end of the game when the last card is bought.
He's pushing the game.
And most decks are about 21-ish cards, I think, if I do my math right. Like 7, 7, and 7. That's about 21, right?
That's 21.
3 ages, I think about 7 cards per age. So it's like 21 cards in the deck. So after all 21 cards are gone, it triggers the end of the game. What I learned was...
I'm sorry. That's I think the when you teach people base Concordia or teaching people Concordia, the hardest thing for them to get is you have to do everything on the board, and everyone focuses on the board because they want to build out everything on the board, right? But like you need to buy cards.
Gotta score them,
and you can't just buy any card because the scoring that's the hardest part. Is like that flipping scoring of like you've done all the stuff on the board, and now it's going to correlate to these cards you bought. And if you didn't buy the right gods, then you're screwed. And I think that's like this. What's the C guy's name? Would you say what his name was? It's just
Contrarius.
Contrarius. I want to say Commodus because I'm thinking of Mel Brooks' History of the World. Him buying cards is that would like almost be a good way to teach people because like it's gonna go, oh wow, this bot is buying all these cards. I should do that too, right? So
well, that's what happened because and Wayne, I've played the game a lot, but I've never said I was good at it. Right? When you play a solo bot or like a third player bot, you can see how the designer designed the bot and what the bot prioritizes. Teaches me
how you
like
should be
what
playing the game.
what I've been doing
You're
wrong.
supposed to be doing.
Right, like the bot is buying cards.
Yeah.
Maybe I should be buying some cards.
Yeah.
And
I got
buy
to comment.
cards that match the gods. Yeah.
Yeah, and Wayne mentions the most difficult part of the game to teach is the scoring, but that's the part that blows everybody away. That's the part when you get to the end of that first game and you actually are going through that scoring, people are like, whoa, I want to play this again because now I see what I'm supposed to do, and that is the most unique. That by far is the best part of the game for me is that scoring, seeing how that works, and then that light bulb coming on, and it's like, oh, this is what I need to be doing. This is how you win this game. This is how you play this game. So that's what makes this game unique. Is I'm surprised more games haven't latched on and done something similar, but I really haven't seen anything that's done something. I mean, games have variable scoring where you can do things to dictate what you score for. There's not a lot of them out there, but this one really, really pushes you to do a thing and get the cards that match that thing because that's what's going to score for you at the end. Yep. So that's what I really like about it.
And I like Daryl here pointing out, like it does actually in the rulebook recommend that, after the first Tribune play, go ahead and score so people can see like, oh, that's what that means,
Just do a little mid-game score.
I think Rococo has a little of this too because there's the cards you buy help you with scoring based upon final game. But Carlos, I know you're talking about this game right now. The dice, that's just something new that I'm not familiar with. What are the dice used for in this?
All right, so what you see there in the card, so as an example, we'll use the Tribune card. The Tribune card is a card that lets you pick up, like you scoop up all of your cards, right? Whenever you play a Tribune against Contrarius, he then gets to roll a red die. The red die is going to have either a sailing colonist or a land colonist or a card. So there's 2 card sides, a D6, so 6 sides. 2 of them are cards. 2 of them are sailing colonists, and 2 of them are land colonists. Whatever you roll, he then places on the board. So that's how it kind of randomizes. There's a blue die. The blue die is a number of cards from the market, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, so it's going to grab a card based on that space, whatever number you roll. The white dice and the black dice both have the different types of cities. So whenever it builds, you're going to roll either a white die or a black die, and then it's going to say Contrarius will build in that city. It's going to, so let's say you roll the die, right, and it says wine. Let's say it shows up as wine. You're now going to look to see where can Contrarius reach with a colonist off of a base move. Base move is a number of spaces equal to the number of total colonists you have, right, in Concordia on a regular day. How far can he move any one of his colonists such that he can build in a wine city because you rolled a wine city? Then he's going to look for first an empty city that no one's in because, it's going to try to fill in those
Cheapest and
spaces,
make it expensive for you.
make it expensive for you,
Yeah.
right? And then it's going to look for a new province. So if there's multiple empty wine cities, is there a new province he can go into? Because that goes into the scoring. Contrarius is going to score like you do, based off the gods. So there are gods that provide provinces. I think Mercury is the god that scores off of provinces. So then it's going to look for cities that are new to you or new to him, and then from there it's going to go alphabetical. So it's going to look for, so it kind of randomizes that way. He spreads out like a champ. Yeah, there's an example. Some of the dice give you an example of what they look like when you roll them. The new god that they add, and I can't remember, it starts with an M, but the new god that they add allows for us getting points for every province where the team each has a home in. So that also kind of entices us to share provinces.
Yeah, pair up, yeah.
He will also score, Contrarius, for every province where he has a home and you have a home with that god. So that's the new god that they added. So they added new gods. They added dice. They added a whole set of cards. So you're using just the cards from the expansion, not the cards from the base game at all, because they all have the Contrarius action in them. What else did it change? That's pretty much it.
The new god was in Venus because Daryl's saying that it was added in the Venus expansion.
It could be Venus. It could be Venus.
So
it might be.
Kept that god going forward, yeah. Cool.
All right, so what did I like? I like Concordia, number one. So you're playing Concordia.
Yeah.
You're playing against a tough bot. He scored 178. We will score the average of our scores, so the midline of our score. So I think my wife and I scored 110.
I was going to say 80?
110.
67.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, she was way higher than I was.
She brought you up, yeah.
Yes, I tend to bring her down.
Yeah.
She could.
Yeah.
That's why she wants to keep playing Viticulture, the cooperative.
Mini World, yeah, Mini World.
Because she'll rack up the victory points. Meanwhile, I'm at the bottom, so I'm always holding her back.
Makes her feel good. Yeah.
So that's how we score. We score our average. What I didn't like is the fiddliness of whose turn is it. So imagine this, Robert. We're thinking about our game. We're deep in thought, right? We're deep in thought, and you play a card to trigger your action. But then I get to take an action off of that
Since
card,
you're both
right?
playing the same action.
And then Contrarius reacts, right?
Yeah.
And then we're like, whose turn was that? So I don't know. Maybe I can have Wayne 3D print me a flag. You know, be like,
Yeah.
It's your turn. You're playing a card.
Yeah.
So something to remind us whose turn it is.
Yeah, that's the hardest part of playing either cooperative or even solo games is tracking like in most games. I don't know about you all, but I always have a hard time following my own stuff. Right, like I can't then also following somebody else and doing a bot and that's why I want to play more solo games. But that's my hardest problem is like I'll play a solo game and as I'm playing I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to do this for the bot or I forgot to do this turn, and it's like it's hard to like really administer all that. That's why I like solo play online, like on Steam and BGA, where the computer does it for you. You know.
That's one kind of nice thing with the Final Girl is it's printed on the board, so you can actually kind of mark it with your finger and be like, all right, this. It runs through each round, what you do, your steps of your turn, the steps of the bad guy's turn. And so I found that really easy. It's on the back of the rule book. It's on the box. It's on the board. So everywhere you look in there, it's giving you the breakdown of the turn order. So it can be a little bit to manage because I've had a few times where I've been like, hold on, what just happened? Was that him or was that me? But yeah, if you kind of keep your finger there, or you do something to kind of keep track of it. Yeah, it's.
There were a few moments of like real deep confusion in the order of operations because there are some cards that let you interrupt.
Yeah.
And that you would take a different action that I took.
It was like a counterattack or whatever. Yeah.
Well, in Solitaria, that's when it got like really crunchy. Outside of that, they did a good job because maybe there's a half dozen different actions that Contrarius will take. And those half dozen actions that Contrarius takes are the same ones attached to the same action. So anytime somebody architects, they're always going to do that.
Yeah.
He's always going to do the same thing every time somebody architects. So by the middle of the game, we kind of like knew I'm doing an architect, which means he's rolling this die.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Beans and Dice Podcast. State your name, where you're calling from.
This is Daryl, and I'm calling from, technically Loot. So,
Hey, Daryl.
but if you're gonna talk about stolen games, I figure I might as well put in a couple of cents.
There you go.
The Earth apologist
Oh,
joins the show.
Yeah, he was in the
To a
chat
degree,
there.
yeah.
He owned it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Show is yours. 10 minutes. You're the host.
All right. So first off, you're concerned about like solo games, like being hard. Like you can, especially with depending on the complexity of the bot that you're running.
Wait a minute. Is this first time caller?
Yes, yeah.
Oh wow!
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, first time calling. He's queuing up something real quick.
Usually I have stuff going on Thursday, so I don't get a chance to call in.
There you go.
First time
But-
caller.
Glad to hear from you.
The different levels of complexity when it comes into the different bots. Paul Grogan from Gaming Rules, he talks about like different levels of AI bots depending on like how complex they are to run. I would say the more complex ones, especially if you play a lot, so it's like anything, like if you play a lot of different types of games, you start to learn tools that help you play those different kind of games, ways to track things in the different games.
Sure.
And that's the same thing with solo. As you play them more, especially you play more complex bots and things like that, you start to learn the tricks of like, here's a thing where I need to like have a little token that I move down like a flow chart or something like that, or usually it's like using like some kind of physical object to help track through some kind of train.
Sure.
And that helps a lot. But it's just like when you were first learning cooperative or competitive games, you had to learn certain things to like, where do I go in this kind of turn order flow just for myself, much less tracking something else's turn order flow.
Sure. Yeah, makes sense.
So like I've done some solo gaming and I'm trying to get into it more. I've been saying it for a while now. I really want to get into more because I have more complex games that I want to play. But I end up doing some of the roll and writes. Like I'll do like, the Super Skill Pinball, or I'll do Cartographers. Do you have any what advice would you give to someone who's done a little bit of solo gaming, maybe some of the roll and writes or flip and writes? What are some games that are mid-level complexity that are easy to run the bot or to follow, or what's a good game that really gives you that checklist that Rob was saying in Final Girl?
Let's see here. Just turning around and like looking at the shelf.
That's funny. It's exactly what I do when anyone calls into the show and asks a question about, tell me about a type of game. First thing I do is turn around and look at the shelf.
Yep. Take it on.
Okay. So a lot of, say, like the Uwe Rosenberg style games, things like Hallertau, Fields of Arle, Le Havre, those kinds of games. They pretty much have you doing very similar things for, like, there's oftentimes, like, those kind of games, there's not necessarily a secondary player that you're essentially a bot that you're trying to run. Okay. It's more a puzzle of like, okay, I need to optimize my actions. I've got to optimize my work. Then you can get into smaller end bots that are just doing small actions kind of thing. And for like say a roll and write, you look at something like Three Sisters or Fleet, where there's not really a bot, but there's a thing that takes actions based on what you do, just like Contrarius would. To like knock out spaces that you can go to. And then you start to move up into more complexity of a bot, like say like the AI in Barcelona, it hits specific things, but it's not super complex to flow through. It's a little bit more than just like marking off some extra things like you would in Three Sisters, and more than just figuring out essentially your own kind of puzzle. And then you get up to the much more complex, like really in-depth things. There's a lot of things that Turksy would create. So we're talking about bots for things like Kanban EV, or what was the game that I was just playing recently that I was like, this is too much. Terracotta Army, or
Turksky with Undaunted.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of the T games have like really complex bots.
Turksky does Blitzkrieg. He does Caesar. He is, and you brought up. I was thinking Turksky the whole time we're talking. Like that's like S tier, like complexity level for solo bots. Like I don't know. That's his thing. It's a very dynamic
He makes
bot, but it's so
he's
hard.
become known for them, but he makes a lot of like he works on a lot of games. Like he's involved with the Imperium games, the Legends, Classics, and now Horizons is coming out. He's worked for a bunch of different games, but he has definitely become much more known for the solo bots, mainly because he's also he tends to come in and do a lot of do a lot of work as a solo like doing the solo bot in somebody else's games, like coming in to do the solo bot for, I think he did it for Weather Machine. I know he did it for Kanban. And he might work with somebody else also doing the solo stuff. But he's definitely his name's kind of become known because he got in for a couple of big games as that, and he is good. He goes to that whole concept of find where the conflict is in the game, and then try to model a bot to help activate that conflict, as it were.
We hear a lot, especially with the Stonemaier games, but they do it for other games too. But the Automa Factory way of playing solo, do you have experience using that? Because I've never used it, but it seems like it's like a deck of cards you just flip and then follow. Is that fairly straightforward, or is it a little more complex than that?
They're not too bad. I think I've done the Automas for Tapestry, and I may have done it for Wyrmspan. I can't remember. I know I have not done it for Viticulture. I did it for Apiary, and I thought Apiaries was decent, but it was not enough for me to keep the game, and I just sold that to Jim.
Well, that went too fast. Apiary came in and out of the collection.
Yeah, it was one of those things of I have other games that if I'm going to sit there and play a worker placement game, I'll reach for an Uwe. I'll reach for Caverna or Hallertau or Fields of Arl before I'll reach again for Apiary.
You make Rob smile when you say Caverna.
Yeah, Caverna's nice. I like Uwe.
The funny thing is, I'd only played Caverna on BGA, and then I finally bought the game at the last Your Turn flea market, and I finally got it to the table, and I'm like, oh, this is so much better in person.
So good.
Just playing it physically.
So good.
It made such a big difference.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you can, I would say, if you've already got Wyrmspan, or you've already got, Tapestry, if you want to play some more Tapestry, you can run that game with, you can use that Automa. And, I think the Automa is really good for Tapestry. It was real good when I played it, but that was also with the base game. I haven't played the Automa with any of the expansions yet. So.
Okay.
I like Automa
But
because of the decks. That.
Yeah, I just need
that
something
flip
to
a
follow.
card, do a thing. It's so much easier than here's a flow chart.
I used the Automa a lot because I played through all of Rise of Fenris inside
there you
using
go.
the Automa.
Okay. That's
Wow.
I completely soloed Rise of Fenris.
You soloed the whole campaign?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I literally left it sitting up on my dining room table for a week, a little over a week, and I cranked through all of Rise of Fenris.
nice.
Wow.
Impressive.
Yeah, it took us months to get through that because we had a group of six
Six
was
or
it?
seven. It was max player, whatever the max player
Yeah.
count was. Yeah, we had it maxed out.
Yeah.
It took us a while.
It took a long while.
People coordinated. I want to say it was 3 or 4 months, but yeah, it was a long time. But
We
there
even
was-
had people playing via Zoom.
Oh yeah, Nick played on Zoom once with
He
my.
couldn't
Oh,
make it
wow.
in because of work
My
or
son was
something.
running his turns or whatever. Yeah, he was telling him what to do. Yep.
Rob's son was the hands and arms.
yeah. Nah, it was fun. Yeah, that was a good experience. But have you played Final Girl?
No, it's not a theme that I'm interested in at all.
Okay.
It looks like it's a really good, well put together.
Yeah.
Solo. I know it's solo only, but it looks like it's a really well. When I've seen how the mechanics work, I really like the look of those mechanics.
Yeah.
But I don't like horror, and
Okay.
so that theme. And I know it's not a horror game per se, but I just the whole trappings of the game and the whole theme of the game are just off-putting to me.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I don't want to play that just because I'm going to look at it and be like, I don't like this thing. And I know that sometimes theme is completely useless kind of thing, it's not necessary, but that's one that it actually does off-put me from the game, which I know I'd probably enjoy it, but every time I look at it, I'm like,
Yeah.
And no.
Yeah, I'm not particularly a fan of the theme at all either, but yeah.
It's part of the reason I want to go to the flea market this weekend, and maybe I'm spilling the beans
Yeah, for
Daryl.
Yeah.
You might beat me to it now. I believe Ashley Shimpey posted in our Discord. She's got a copy of Hostage Negotiator.
Oh, yeah.
So Hostage Negotiator Van Ryder Games was the first game in that mechanism
Yeah.
of Final Girl.
Framework, yeah.
Where instead of it being you going after a horror bad guy, you play the role of a hostage negotiator. The board is the hostage taker, and you're trying to balance getting them to trust you versus them like losing control and shooting everybody.
Yeah.
So you know like, oh hey, how about you stand by this window over here because you got a sniper card that you want to play to try to shoot the guy. Right. So if you're looking for a different theme in that set of mechanisms, I know that I'm hoping that copy will be there. You beat me to it.
You could pre-buy it.
You know,
And just tell her you want
send
it.
her a message and just let her know that you want it.
Just
She'll
set it
hold it for you.
See, but here's the deal. Like, I know, let me look at the shelf.
What everybody's doing.
I know I shouldn't be buying anything else. So if it's not there, I'm okay.
Ah, okay, there you go.
You see what I'm saying? If it happens to be there, I'm scooping it up. But if it's not there, then I'm okay.
Well, at least that's good to know. That I didn't realize that that hostage negotiator was sort of the same mechanism. Because I was gonna say like I could see Final Girl spinning into other things like a superhero where it's like
but if you get into the meta, Final Girl spun from.
Yeah.
Now what's Final Girl did really well is that box setup. Hostage Negotiator didn't have that.
All those magnets and
compatible or compartmentus.
The box with the magnets comes apart and it's your board.
And then you buy like a base set, and then you can buy like little installments.
Yeah.
Hostage Negotiator, it was not like that.
Yeah, just plug them in. Yeah.
Right. That is what really psychs me up for Final Girl, is that idea of I don't have to buy it all. I can kind of pick and play and then like trade and
I hear
$500, Wayne. $500. Just hit delete on the shopping cart.
Just get it out of there.
That's my biggest problem. Is like I'm a completionist at heart, and it's my worst trait. Like, because I want to buy the entire season, but I know I could just buy the base box and like one or two of the Final Girls, and then I can just trade it with people. Like,
I dip my toe in.
I'm a complete and utter idiot for like just not.
So
doing
Wayne.
that.
Like on Audible, when a new book series comes out, do you like buy the whole series of books at one shot, maybe listen to the first one, or are you okay with just buying the first one? And then if you need the others, you'll find them later.
So honestly, I don't buy things on Audible. I use
That's
Libby.
right, public library.
I use Libby, and you can actually, and this is a little tip, like you can buy your library cards, so Hillsborough County Library card on Libby. There are a lot of other libraries around the country that let you get library cards if you don't live there, like Miami-Dade and Broward and New York City and Chicago and that. So you can load like 10 different library cards onto your Libby app. And if it's not available in Hillsborough County, it's probably available in New York City or Chicago or LA or Miami. Cool. You can get the books you want. So yeah, if you do, it's actually really cool. If you don't know, this is PSA for the people out there who read books or like either read books on your tablet or listen to audiobooks. Libby is a free app, basically, and if you have a library card, you can attach it to your library, and if your library has digital copies of the books, you can get them. And like I said, there are 10 or 15 or 20 other giant library systems that let anybody join, and you can have multiple library cards and connect them to your app.
The more you know.
There you go. The more you know.
Back to Daryl.
Back to Daryl now. Yeah,
Daryl passed along his copy of Bargain Basement Bathysphere to me, and I'm on the 4th or 5th scenario. I know you said you didn't get too far into that. You kind of felt it got a little samey. But how do you remember how many you got through?
I think I got through the first 2.
Okay.
And that hit me of like, this is decent, but again, it was one of those of like, if I want to do another roll and write, I'll reach for like Fleet or Three Sisters, or if I want something real crunchy, I'll go for Hadrian's or Twilight.
Gotcha.
Imperial.
Yeah, I think the first 5 they add a new little mechanism in each one of the first 5, and so I'm waiting to get through that 5th one. I think I've done 4. I think I'm getting ready to start the 5th one, so I want to open up that last little goodie, and then from there I'll judge it to see how much further I'm going to go. But
this is the underwater one, right?
Yeah, the little underwater one. I'm enjoying it so far. I have not played it in the last about a week and a half, so I need to get it back to the table. I thought about it the other night, but I'm wanting to get it played some more. So I'm still on board. But I'll give my full rundown. I'll give it the beans on it once I've got some more plays in. But I'm enjoying it so far. So I appreciate that. And my intention certainly is once I'm done with it, if anybody else is interested in it, I'll pass it along. So.
Now, Wayne had asked at the beginning of the call, and Daryl, I know we're keeping you long.
No worries.
he had asked about deciding what solo games to play, or to pick up based on complexity or theme or how they play. And I was thinking when he was talking about that, I wanted to touch back on this, is deciding which solo game to play based on like roll and write or theme. And one of the things that stood out for me with solo games, and Daryl, tell me if this impacts you in any way, because you do a lot more solo gaming than I do. One of the peak interest for me in solo gaming, the things like, Wayne, you talked about the Super Pinball, right? Or what's the Glanchang Clever style roll and write games, which Daryl sounds like you're really into them. Those are fun and quick and easy for solo, but I feel like I don't get the sustenance out of it that I need to keep me coming back, like Bathysphere, right? We just talked about Bathysphere. For me, the solo games that let me play the competitive games that I like so that I can practice that skill, right? Those are the ones that keep me coming back. So the Automa for Scythe, the Automa for Lost Ruins of Arnak, now the Solitaria for Concordia, right? These games where I can on my own practice the play of this game so that I have a better chance of beating my buddies when it's time to meet up in person. Has that come across? Have you thought about that, Daryl? What are your thoughts?
I don't think of it in that way. I think like I can see where you're coming from. And like as you're talking, like, okay, I can see that mentality. It's almost like doing reps in exercise. You know what I'm saying? Or doing
what is this exercise you speak
art.
of? I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I know. Look, you've met me. You can tell I don't do a lot of exercise. But think of it more like doing katas in martial arts. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like I'm doing these rote actions so that when it comes time for me to play the game, I know these. Like I've played this through certain ways. I see where certain cards chain, or I see where certain mechanics link together, that kind of thing. And that's not how I approach solo. The way I approach solo games is as puzzles. They're ways of me to go like, all right, I want to essentially challenge my own brain of like, how can I take this and do it efficiently? Or how can I beat the thing in front of me, which I think of more as like trying to solve a puzzle as opposed to doing those reps for like trying to figure out the mechanic on. I'm trying to work through a puzzle. So it's more so like, and then like deciding like what do I want to tackle? It's like how hard of a puzzle do I want to play today, or how long do I want to play this puzzle for? So if I want something light and quick, I might reach for like a little roll and write that like a free print and play roll and write, something like that. If I want something a little more complex, I might reach for like Grove or For Northwood or
that's on my list.
Something like that. Like
For Northwood, that's on my wish list.
It's a
solo trick taking
game. It's a lot harder
Robert.
than it looks like it should be. It's a lot meaner than it looks like it should be.
Oh yeah.
But then, like, if I want a really hard, crunchy problem, especially one that might take a long time to play, then I can set that thing up. I've got like a side table I can set it up at. I can keep coming back to it. I can sit down and just kind of grind through the whole game. But I still look at it as this is the puzzle I'm trying to solve. Either dealing with what the Automa sends at me and like how do I optimize what I'm doing. But because it's so different, even like a well-built Automa, you know what I'm saying, for like, say, I always come back to Kanban and like Weather Machine because those are big, complex Automas. Even with those things, those straight up, like they create the friction points that exist in the game so that you can try to work on that puzzle, but they will never equate to what a human does. It is two very, very different
I was
feeling.
going to bring that up myself. I was going to say, if you're playing the game with the Automa, certainly it can help you, again, kind of get more experience in what the game offers, what cards you might see, what combinations you might see. But getting too used to beating an Automa, then you go into a game against an actual person. You're like, hold on. The Automa wouldn't have done that. So now I don't know what to do. So, I mean, that could be a trap to fall into if you're too much on like, all right, this is what the Automa would have done. The Automa's probably only going to play the game a certain kind of way, and so that could be tricky.
Yeah, but like, are you the one that's a big fan of, say, Res Arcana?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yep.
Okay. So like, I think it was you that was talking about the story about like going and playing Res Arcana, and there was somebody who played like 1,200 games.
Mike
of it.
Lorenzo.
Yeah, that was
his butt whooped.
Yeah, he got destroyed. Yep.
What was his name? Tom? I'm trying to remember.
I don't remember.
Whatever it is. Yeah, he just beats everybody in that game.
But like, think of like a game with Res Arcana. Like that's especially a game where like you could play that game 100 times by yourself, and it's that repetition. That's where it comes into almost that like kata, that meditative thing. Like I'm just trying to hone my skill on this, where it's not so much against another person, but it's learning like this card works with this card, or you're building how those combos work, how those things link together. And yes, you can still get messed up when you play another person, but if you have like honed, like I know how all of these mechanisms link together, and I know the cards so well that if this card comes out, I can kind of balance it off of these things, that kind of stuff. That's where solo, yes, can help you a lot, again, in like a competitive game. But that's not like, because solo is probably about 70% of my play, if not higher. I don't approach solo like that because I'm not going to, like, I'm not playing the solos to kind of like make up time or to kind of like fill in the cracks between competitive play or playing with other players. It's a dominant style of my play. And so I approach it as a thing in and of itself. Like the goal of that is the solo play, is the puzzle itself, not to act as methadone because I can't play with other players. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, I resemble that remark.
But no, that's a really interesting point, because I think that's like, I thank you for that, Daryl, because actually really I think a lot of times when I try to set up solo plays, because I haven't had a game day or I haven't played games with, maybe I played a couple games with my kid, but like I haven't played a Meteor game, right? And I want to get that feel of a Meteor game. So I try to do a solo game as a replacement for gaming with others. And so I set up the game, and then that sort of social aspect isn't there because I'm not sitting at the table with you guys.
Yeah, it'll always feel hollow at that.
And it feels hollow. So then I'm like, you know what? I don't want to do this. So I think you just really gave me like a really good like level set of, like when I go to play a solo game, or like if I'm playing a solo game to try to replace the games that I do with others, that's never going to work. I need to reset my brain and think of, I'm playing this solo game to do this puzzle.
Practice? Yeah.
Either practice, or I'm doing a puzzle to play the game, not to...
Yeah, I'm more of the practice guy.
Yeah. Oh, Carlos is practicing?
Yeah.
Higher scores?
We're not talking about the game.
3 ways I see solo
we talking about
is
practice, not the game.
Learning it,
practice,
or just enjoying the puzzle kind of thing.
Yeah. And I think I need to get more towards just enjoying the puzzle, and stop thinking of it as like a replacement for game days and playing with others. Yeah, that's all. That's it. You hit the nail on the head for why I can't get more solo games in.
Hey man, this is.
So I'll give you 2 more games.
Go for it.
Before I depart.
Because this has been a very strong first call.
Oh, yeah.
Like first-time caller.
Right out the gate.
If we had to create a board to rank top 20 first-time callers, like we're having to make some tough decisions. This was a good one.
Yeah.
So I will say you can always play Castle solo. Castles of Burgundy. It's decent. It's not the best solo in the world, but it's a solid enough one. And if you really like Castles and you just want to like say, like, I want to play a game, I want to play with a puzzle or something, and you don't want to have to like learn a whole new game or like relearn a game, something like that, you can always go to Castles. Another game, if you have it, Meadow has a very good solo. I just played that solo this weekend. It's simple enough to run. It's a little more complex instead of like just a beat your own score kind of thing. There is like a very easy to run bot in it. And it's like, if you like Meadow, its solo is pretty good.
Tell me about the Castles solo. What Is it a beat a score? Is it completely by yourself? Is there an automa that?
No, there is an automa to it. I am trying to remember how it runs, though. It's been a while since I'm more remembering that the Castle's automa was decent. I played it solo with the new special edition, the one that you don't want to open.
They call it Shatoma.
Yes, the Shatoma. And I played the Shatoma with the new Grapes expansion.
After 10 o'clock, yeah.
From the special edition. And I remember it playing pretty solid. So that's what I was saying. Like, if you've got the special edition and you like castles, that might be a place to go, because it's already a game you like. You already know the mechanics of it, so you're just learning kind of like what little bits you need to add on for the Shatoma, and it gets you a chance to continue playing with a game you already enjoy. You know what I'm saying? So then you can approach it as the puzzle, not necessarily the I'm playing this because I don't have somebody else around kind of thing.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Great call.
Yeah.
All right.
Hopefully we'll see you this weekend.
Go back to everybody else.
Somebody will see him this weekend.
Yeah, I'm hoping to be at the Wesley Chapel on Saturday.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure. I don't think I'm going to go out to the flea market, because I'm trying to sell a bunch of games and I don't need to go into a den of temptation.
Oh yeah,
I do not need to go into a den of
that could be
temptation.
bad. Yeah,
that's right. I saw your list on there.
It's a great list. I've got
folks. If you're
solid
looking to see Tampa Bay area what folks are selling, check out the Beans and Dice Discord. We've got a channel for looking to sell, as well as looking to buy. So if you're looking for something specific, I think Daryl's got a list, a very, I don't know how you did it, like very detailed, link heavy list.
Yeah, good prices. I mean,
it's one of those things. If I just I'm a geek. I write code, and I keep a list of everything, because I always want to know, like, where did I get this, like, reference things out to BGG, or like, where did I get this 3D insert or things like that. So I just kept it all in like a big markdown note. So when it came time to share it, literally just convert it from markdown to HTML and throw it up on a website. So
as soon as I saw
that's what
his
I do
list,
for a living. So
as soon as I saw your list, I'm like, oh, he works in IT.
Oh yeah,
yeah, just the way it was,
very much
the way it was laid out with the links and everything. I'm like, oh yeah, I know what that looks like.
Yep. Well, I appreciate you calling in. I kind of can't believe it was your first time. I know we see you around so often. It's I would have swore you had called in before, but no, we appreciate it. Don't be a stranger.
Yes.
Yep.
No, I've been writing up like a whole list of like little topics and stuff. So like, if you need a call and I am available, I will have something to say.
Or give us ideas if you want to feed us show ideas. We always
call
love
in.
that. Yeah, or
just
call in. Prime something. We'll talk about it.
Listen, folks, it's not that hard. Okay, it's not that hard. You just call in. Do like Daryl.
Yep. Be a Daryl.
Call in.
Be a Daryl. Appreciate you, Daryl. Have a good evening, and we will hopefully see you this weekend.
Night.
Adios.
Bye.
Adios.
Great call.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah,
Great call.
That was great.
Phone lines open, 813-618-7099 is the number. I'm Carlos. We got Rob. We got Wayne. We're talking board games. We're talking whatever you've been up to. So that was my play of Solitaria, Concorcia Solitaria. I pretty much went through all of it before the call came through.
Done. Wayne, I know you've been playing some games. You've been playing some games with your son. I know you've been posting up.
We've oh, there we go. Hey,
another call. Might as well jump over there. Yeah.
Beans and Dice Podcast. State your name. Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Chris from Texas. How y'all doing?
Hey, Chris. How are you?
Hello.
Doing great. How are y'all doing?
Doing good. Doing good. I got to mention.
We're cold, man. You need to.
Oh yeah. Well,
take this winter weather.
I say they're plenty cold out there.
I guess the question is Texas. Do you have power? Is the power grid okay out there?
Yeah, it's actually improved. I mean, today was sunny. It went up to like 70 for the high. It was kind of nuts. Ooh. And then yesterday was decent. And then 2 days ago was really cold. So it's kind of gradually warmed up.
Yeah. That's funny. Like my son told me the other day, he was watching the news and it showed like the whole country, of course, and it was the countrywide thing. Everything was blue, like all blue, and then Florida was like 70, and it was like he's like, that's the only thing that was like red on the map. Everything else was blue. I was like, yeah, that's Florida. But anyway,
this is like the week of schizophrenic weather in Florida, because we've gone from like 70 to 40 to 70 to 30 to 77 and 30.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You guys gave us one of your days today because it was absolutely beautiful. I'm like,
nice.
Then I saw the forecast for tomorrow and it's back to like 40 for the high or something. I'm like, oh man, come on, give me more than one day.
It's fleeting. Yeah.
I know.
What's on your mind game-wise?
Well, I had a question for you guys I was thinking of today. So, and this goes to Carlos. He's mentioned it a few times about acquiring games, and obviously he has quite the collection. So here's the question.
All right.
How much enjoyment do you guys receive from the research and the acquisition of your board games versus simply playing your games? So you could give a percentage. You could just say, in general. So
I will say in general.
Can I add a third caveat in there?
Dale.
Yeah.
There's the research and all the things acquiring the game. Then there's the punching and organizing.
Oh, there you go.
Of your game, and then there's the playing.
Yes.
Those are all very separate things, though. Those are very separate things, Wayne.
They are very separate things.
Every one of those, like the playing part, very separate.
Yeah.
I always called it like turn zero in games. Like I love turn zero in games. It's all the activity you do when you're not playing the game that revolves around the game is something that's always, it's been a major part of my enjoyment of gaming. So name a game, the turn zero piece of it is a part I love. As an example, Concordia, watching every video available, every tactics article, going through BGG pictures just so I can see how other people, do their setups, their play, their accessories. I will go to bed with a deck of cards just to flip through the cards while laying in bed. Just the cards. I'll just take the cards out of the box and take them into bed with me, and just instead of reading a book, I'll just flip through the cards to read them. Right. So that whole turn zero piece also extends to the purchasing piece.
I was just saying, to me, that's a little bit of a different question because he was talking about the acquisition, the deciding which games to buy and then acquiring them. You're adding another, I think, a fourth category in there.
Well,
right? So it's in between.
It's because it's
yeah.
There's a thread there. There's a thread there, right? Some people they just want to play the game.
Yeah.
I want to get immersed in the game, so that's when I have the game. But it started long before that.
Okay.
I'm watching every review I can. I'm going through the BGG ratings, the comments, the text, the BGG like text reviews, not just so I don't because there's some folks in there they will do some great reviews.
So you say this is before you buy, or
before
this is
I buy,
the purchase
when
and
I start thinking about a game.
Acquisition, really? Okay, because you seem like to me much more impulse. Like you'd be like, oh, I gotta have that.
Oh no, impulse is there.
Okay, all right. So yeah.
Especially
so that's my question then. So yeah.
Hey, listen.
Okay.
You can't be impulsive without having both, right?
Yeah.
Like to be impulsive, you need something that proves the rule, right?
Okay.
Right. To prove impulsivity, I also have to show how much research I do put into things.
See, what I think more than likely happens a lot, Carlos, though, is you get the impulse, you immediately buy the game, and then in the 2 to 3 day span it takes Amazon
that's
to
what
get
I'm
to
saying.
you.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So the acquisition is almost immediate. It's the time between when you've actually purchased it to when you are
that's where you're watching all the
arrival.
videos.
That's when you're doing all your research. So
that has happened.
Yeah.
That has happened. But
you feel seen.
Okay.
You feel seen there.
All of the above.
Okay.
Like and even when the game is here, like you don't know. This last week, before I even played Solitaria, I've watched so many Concordia videos,
downloaded the app, played multiple times on my own on the app.
I can believe that.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I love all the stuff that goes around the playing of the game.
After the purchase, though.
No, even before the purchase.
That was before the purchase?
Even before the
Really?
purchase.
Okay.
There are many games where I will do that research ahead of time because I'm doing the Wayne, you got that $500 shopping cart, right? What do you need to push you over the edge to make you hit go? Like many times for me, it takes that level of research to kind of say, I'm in.
I'll probably be taking that shopping cart down to like 200.
Yeah, a little adjustment.
Maybe. I don't know. Probably not. We'll see what I get this weekend. Yeah, it's tough. But it's. I mean, like Rob, you've talked about yours, right? You like your acquisition thing is you play a game 4 or 5 times before you buy it, right?
Right, and I watch the videos, I watch the how to plays, I watch a playthrough or two. I like watching people play it to kind of see how their experience went and how things combo and chain together. And so I do a lot of research before the purchase. Although I don't know, you're if you're talking about the enjoyment level,
where are my percentages between the research and the purchase, acquisition, and then actually playing the game? That's tough. It's definitely more towards playing the game, but I think there is an element of pleasure that comes out of the research and stuff. Although for me, it is more of I want to make a wise purchase. I'm I don't know, penny pincher or whatever, but I don't want to buy something, like I say, and then turn around and find out a year later, well, I haven't really played that. I'm going to flip that and try to resell it and get pennies on the dollar for what I paid for it. I really want to make sure I know a game before it goes into my collection. I know that I'm going to keep it. I know that it's got a spot. It's not going to necessarily replace another game, but it does something that a game on my shelf doesn't already do. It fills a hole for me. So it's I don't know. It's as far as percentages, I'm just trying to think. Well, as the other guys talk, I guess I'll try to think through percentages of what my percentage versus the acquisition part and the research part of it versus the actual once you have it and actually playing it goes to. But yeah, interesting question.
Here's an example.
I got another way to frame it, guys, that might break it down a little better.
Okay.
So let's say three things: research, acquisition, and actually opening the box, playing with the components, punching it out. That's another piece of it. So those three: research, acquisition, and then after you've acquired it, being able to enjoy it before the game's ever played.
Okay.
So of those three, what's your favorite from 1 to 3, 1 being your favorite, 3rd being your least favorite of those three things? Let's start with that.
Easy for me. One is the punching, organizing, messing with it. That is like meditation for me.
That's your number one, huh?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's my number one. Because I think because I've even taken games that I like, a game that maybe has been on my shelf for a while that I haven't replayed in a year or 2 or 3 years. I might take it off the shelf while I'm watching soccer Saturday morning or something and open it up and see, was this organized right, or could I organize it better, or is there a different list online? That is like a zen for me of meditation. Then 2 would easily be the research. Like because I sit at a computer screen all day. I have 3 or 4 monitors here. You guys have seen my setup for work, and I've got one that's kind of dedicated for YouTube and podcasts and YouTubes, and I absorb a lot of content that way, 2 times speed and listening to stuff. So I watch a lot of reviews, a lot of playthroughs. So that's kind of good. To me, the buying of it is meh. Like if I decide to buy a game, I just buy it, right? Maybe 25 years ago when I was a fresh out of college kid, I'd be like, man, I got really, really careful which ones I buy. Now I probably in the last few years, I've gotten a little more lax with that. Although I got to admit, I need to go back to being a little bit more like Rob, in that there have been some games that I've purchased on impulse where after I've finally played it or played it more, I'm like, man, I'm probably not going to play this game again. So it's going to be a call. So yeah, definitely it's the punching and organizing and zen moment of that is number 1. Number 2 is the research. And number 3 is actually the purchase of it. The retail therapy doesn't do me.
Yeah, for me, I think research is probably number 1. I do enjoy watching the videos, watching some playthroughs, making that decision. Does it fill a spot on my shelf? I enjoy that part of it, thinking through it, and it'll take me months sometimes to pull the trigger on buying a game. I agree with Wayne that my least favorite probably is just the actual purchase, the acquisition. It doesn't. I'm usually going to look for the best deal. I know that's not the politically correct to answer, probably with trying to support your local game shop and that kind of stuff, but me, unfortunately, 9 times out of 10, if I can get a better deal online somewhere, I'm probably going to jump online and buy it. I try to when I frequent my game shops and go there to play games on game night, I try to pick up a little something here or there. I'm trying to support the shop so that they don't go out of business and they give me a place to play. But so I appreciate that part of it as well. But the research part, number 1, the punching and stuff, I don't necessarily enjoy it. I don't dislike it. I always mention that new box smell. I can't wait to crack that lid and stick my nose in there and kind of see, get that new sniff of the new fresh ink or the new cardboard in there. So I do enjoy that part of it. I do enjoy the punching, organizing, not so much. I'm usually a bag it kind of guy. I just find all those little baggies, try to separate things, and it actually kind of annoys me, especially if in the rare occasion it's a game that I haven't played before, trying to organize and trying to figure out, all right, how am I going to organize this stuff without really knowing how the game works and what belongs where. But so I just throw stuff in baggies and throw it back in. So that would be my order. I think 1 is the research, 2 is the punching and organizing, and then 3, the least favorite would definitely be the acquisition part, the purchasing it.
I don't know where to put learning the game. like in those three categories, where does learning the game come in?
That would be research to me. I
We
think.
can add that.
Yeah.
Because the research, it's because that's where I feel like it fits.
We can
is in
add
the
that as a
research.
separate category. Let's add that as a separate category.
Because that is the most enjoyment I get out of this hobby.
Carlos likes reading his rule books, and
Here's an example. Here's okay, coming in close. Here's my Kindle Scribe. There are 128 currently downloaded articles I have, or files, documents, and every one of these is a PDF version of the rule book. And I will read and the FAQs.
Nerd!
I download the FAQs.
Nerd alert.
Here's some rule books for games. I love learning how to play the game as I'm thinking about how to teach the game. If I'm reading the rules to it and I have questions or not understanding like how this interacts, you're going to find me, even before I own the game, on BGG's forums, looking for the rules section of the forums to better understand how this mechanism works. Even before I get the game, punch the game, or play the game, I want to make sure I have a complete understanding of how to play the game. So wherever that falls in, that's my number one joy. Number two is probably going to be in actual punching the game itself, like
punching organizing.
because that helps me learn the game. I think Anthony from AntLab Games, he had shared with me about that, how for him, we had talked about how we learn games. For him, setting up the game on the table, which is what I do, I will set, after I get the game, I will set it up. I will set the whole, before I even like get deep into the rules to learn the game, I want to set it up to see how it sets up, what it looks like on the table. And then I'll just leave the table and go read the rule book.
That's what pictures are for.
I can't. I need
No?
more tactile than that.
All right.
Tactile feel.
And then the purchase piece, yes, that. But man, I get that high when I go to Dunkin' Donuts and order like a dozen donuts and
Give me a dozen.
stack of bacon, like
Dozen glazed.
You like your snacking bacon?
Yeah.
especially when the bag's all greasy. Like
Walking tacos.
you look through the paper bag, it's like the window to heart disease.
Yeah.
I get so bored reading rule books.
Yeah,
you?
I can't either. Yeah,
I
it
do,
puts me to
man.
sleep. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm so
I
bored.
do. I've tried
like,
so many times.
I'll have
to read
Rob
rule
teach me a game, and then after he leaves,
Read the rules.
I download the rules, put them on my Kindle, and I'll lay in bed and just read them.
Yeah.
Because
Crazy.
that's how it solidifies for me. That's my favorite. That's my favorite part about.
Watch a video.
I know my mom used to say, Carlos, if you read as many real books as you read gaming books, you'd be a doctor.
Oh yeah. Maybe.
She's probably right.
Yeah.
Probably.
All right, we got to flip this back to Chris. He brought up the topic, so I know you've got some opinions here.
Yeah, number one for me is the researching of the game, watching playthrough videos, watching reviews. I like to get at least 2 at minimum, usually 3 if possible. So I like the research, YouTube videos, all that kind of stuff. That's number one. Number 2 would probably be acquisition, because I like to find like the best deals. I mean, just like, like you mentioned, Rob, just trying to find, like for instance, it doesn't have to be the cheapest deal per unit, but say I've got free shipping at $75 and I've already got 2 games I want. And so I'm trying to figure out, okay, let's combine a couple things I want into this order to get free shipping to get the best deal possible for the lot of games that I'm interested in. So I enjoy that. Just, shopping 4 or 5 different sites and seeing what deals I can get. And I enjoy looking at sales. Unfortunately, I get, a little bit looped into the sales. When I see a big sale, I have to look through and see what's for sale. I'm like, okay, is this on my wish list? Because I created a wish list on Board Game Geek. If it's on my wish list and it's on sale and I'm already going to go get it, hey, if it's in the budget for this month, then I'm going to probably pull the trigger on that game.
Yeah.
So a lot of it has to do with that. And I enjoy that almost like conquering my wish list, conquering, this list I've made and trying to get the very best deal possible, and that would be number 2. Number 3 would probably be learning the game and then organizing last. Here's why. I'm a little OCD about organizing. I like to sleeve 90% of my games. So in organizing, it's a lot of work for me. I'm not just bagging stuff. I'm not just punching stuff. I'm sleeving all the cards. So if it's a card-heavy game, it's going to take me a while. And I enjoy after I'm done sleeving, but I don't enjoy the act of sleeving. I just enjoy knowing that my game's in mint condition and I'm going to be able to play it over and over without wear and tear, especially if my kids are playing it. I know that it's protected. So that would be my order there. So I'll just recap. Research is number 1. Acquisition is number 2. Learning the game is number 3. And organizing number 4.
Okay.
And this is where we would differ. I also am a 90% sleever. I have 5 kids. You may not agree with. You may not believe me
not been in real life.
when I say that. But 90% of my games are sleeved.
Okay.
Carlos is like Tom. He doesn't believe sleeve.
Doesn't sleep. Yeah.
But the sleeving part is part of my most enjoyment because I'm going through every single card. I'm reading every card.
Nerd.
Especially text-heavy games. Like
Experience it as you play.
and then I'm organizing them by, okay, well, so after I've sleeved them, so I've gone through and read them all, and then I'm like, all right, well, how many cards in this deck have a buy action? Okay, so 20% of this deck has buy actions.
Wow.
How many cards
amazing.
in this deck apply to, Mitsubishi Zero planes, right? Depending on what game I'm playing. I want to know how many activate those. How many of them activate the Roman Empire? I want to see, like I said, I'll take a deck of cards to bed and we'll just...
Wow.
It's incredible that you don't win 90% of your plays.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's incredible.
He knows all the stats.
That's
he knows
incredible.
all the cards. But still,
Man,
80
that's
points.
almost like learning the game while you're doing it. While
He
you're
didn't say he
sleeping.
actually remembered all those stats. He just said he
oh,
went
he
through
just
them.
reads it. Oh, okay.
Well, I can have the information. It's
what you do with it.
strategically using that information
Uh-huh.
that matters, and that's where I fail.
See, like I am like the app. I don't sleeve anything. Like I think in my entire game collection, I have 2 games that are sleeved.
I don't know. I'm with Chris on this. Like, I just like, what if, like that, and you know what it was? You know what?
buy it
Really, I
again.
think Robert and I were. This had to be like 15 years ago, at work playing Lost Cities.
Oh, okay.
And one of the cards.
Is this my copy?
One of them.
It's the green 8 or something?
No, my
Blue
copy.
8. No, mine's got
The
the blue
blue
8.
8.
Yeah, blue 8. Is that? I thought that was
that-
mine.
it
I
might
think
be
it's pretty sure
yours.
it's mine. Yeah.
One of them, the blue
Blue
8,
8.
got a dog ear on it.
Yeah.
And like from then on, it just ruined the game for us.
Yeah.
And I'm so worried about that happening with like Concordia or some, really important game to me.
Yeah.
Oh, are you saying Lost Cities is not an important game?
No, what's a $25 game?
Yeah, okay, it's a
I
cheap
can
game, but it's
easily replace
Replaceable and
that.
cheap.
Okay. All right. I got you. Yeah.
And people say, "Oh, it's okay. You can just reach out to the company, right? And the company will send it to you."
Replace, Yeah.
All right, let me reach out to Mythic and see how that works out.
Yeah, it's not well,
Right?
and they're not doing it as much anymore.
No,
yeah, like what you said.
Mayfair,
Yeah.
right? Companies go out. Like I don't know. I'm with Chris on this one.
I just,
Yeah.
I've never. I mean, I guess the thing too is like even like you, Carlos, your game collection, my game collection, are probably about similar sizes. I've played a lot of games, but I've never played a game so much that I needed new cards, right? And
No,
so
it's
really-
not about wear and tear. I'm not like wear and tear doesn't bother me. It's that accidental damage. I guess I'm an insurance guy. Like we're always
Yeah.
looking at what are the odds, right? They're very slim, but they're there.
Insure against that accidental damage.
Right.
Yeah. I like the vassal rule of like if a game's good enough, it'll be in print. I can just go buy it again if I needed to. But I've really, like I said, the only games I've sleeved is my original copy of my brass. I've sleeved the cards there, and I sleeved the cards for Comic Hunters just because I'm like, all right, I got this game from Brazil. I don't know if it's ever making it to America. A lot of people are going to be playing it. Let me sleeve this. That's it.
Yeah,
Those are
what
the two
happens
games.
when Rob spills the drink on the table?
What?
Right.
Not
For
always
what
right.
game?
Well, for us, it was Betrayal at House on the Hill, the Legacy game, so we weren't playing it again.
Right.
Yeah, we burned that sucker to the ground.
Literally.
So
Pop that.
I like
up
so.
I-
It's after 10 o'clock. Sam's dropping some information here, so she agrees that naked's best.
Oh.
And then Chester says, "Embrace the sleeve or not, there is no try." Sam again, no sleeves. Plus, cards don't fit in the spaces. Again, I mean, it's gotten a little bit
I
more
will
popular.
toss an insert. I
Insert
will
some
toss an
space.
insert
Yeah.
before I have a game with no
Yeah.
no
And
sleeves.
And I hate when
Yeah,
they sleeve
me
cards. You
too.
make a stack of them and then they just slide over because it's slippery.
Mhm.
See, but what you do is you buy the card holders, right? So like Broken Token does them. They can put a whole stack in them.
Yeah, I like this too. Like, so I remember a friend of mine had a game sleeved and somebody spilled a drink and the open side of the card sleeves.
Listen, there's 4 sides. One's available. That's still a 75% chance of protecting that card.
Yeah.
Okay. And if it really matters, you can double sleeve like the Magic the Gathering players.
That's just crazy. Those guys never need to double sleeve anything. They're not going to.
Never getting any play.
Well, I am definitely with Carlos on that as well. I will toss an insert unless it's super nice, like game trays or something else. I will toss it just to make room in the box for my sleeve cards. And anything else I want to put in there, expansions, because I like to put my expansions in the base box. So I will toss whatever I need to do to fit it in one box. And then I will sleeve all the cards as well. So the inserts, they're just plastic. I don't care about them. But the cards, to me, are one of the most valuable things, especially in a heavy card game, like, say, Wyrmspan, any game that's card-driven. I want those cards in good shape, and I want the artwork protected, so it is a little bit protection and insurance as well. But I also like the way the sleeves feel, unless it's like a really nice matte finish on the cards. I actually prefer the way the sleeve cards feel, probably going back to my days of Magic the Gathering, because when I played that, I sleeved all my cards back then. So I think I got used to the feel
The shuffle.
of sleeve card.
The Smash Shuffle
shuffle.
is so
I
much
love
better.
It. Yeah.
Give me a Ruffle Shuffle any day.
It's smooth.
I don't know.
But if it's a cheap game, if it's cheap or a small box, I do not sleeve it because I can't fit the cards in the box. It's too small.
Yep.
And it's a cheap game. It's replaceable. Like Lost Cities, who cares? But if it's a $60 game, I want the sleeves, I want them sleeved, the cards sleeved in that. And so it depends on the game. But if it's a valuable game, like say, even $40 or more, I'm going to probably sleeve it.
And I remember being at Armada Games on a game day, and I had I can't remember what game it was. It was, I would say it's going to be middle of the road, not super expensive, not super cheap, but a good middle of the road game. And one of the cards fell underneath the table. One of the other players,
the foot.
right? You remember?
Oh, I remember.
Because I remember.
Yeah,
like it bothers me to this day. The foot got placed on the card and dragged the card from underneath the table, right? And it was on his back. The card was on his back.
Yeah.
So all the sand and the aggregate and all the dirt that was on the floor like scraped the whole back of the card. From now on, whenever that card shows up on the top of the deck, I know you.
Yep, I know that
You're
card.
that card. You see what I'm saying? Like just those moments make me like
cringe.
Anxiety builds up in me
A little bit.
when we're playing with cards without sleeves.
All right, one last question, guys. It's on the heels of this. So of those 4 factors that we mentioned, research, acquisition, organization, and learning the game, what percentage do you think over the past 3 years of all your purchases did you enjoy these 4 items over actually playing the game itself? So what percent of your collection, let's say over the last 3 years of purchases, did you enjoy these 4 items over playing the game? So you played the game and you're like, actually I had more fun with these other 4.
Chris, you were talking about like, you got to play the game 2-3 times.
Yeah.
Liz, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm not neurotypical. I'm ADD, skittish kind of guy. All that enjoyment. I don't know. Let's find a word for that. All that enjoyment, local. All that enjoyment that I had, the hours I spent reading the rule books, sleeving the cards, reading every card, organizing them over and over again, all that enjoyment, like 70% of the time, completely fades away the moment I play the game.
Yeah.
The moment I play the game, what am I doing, Rob? I'm just shuffling all the pieces into the box. I'm not OCD like you, Chris. I'm literally just shoveling all the pieces in the box, putting the game away, never to be seen again for another year.
At least.
Like literally, like all the dopamine is gone the moment I play the game.
God.
I'll spend a week plus high on the dopamine of learning the game, setting up the game, anticipating the play of that game. Oh, well, if Robert sits there, he's going to want blue. Let me put blue play over there. Wayne's going to sit there. And then, okay, and I got to make sure I know every single rule. I'll spend a week enjoying that. Then we play the game, and then I'm like, gone. Dead to me.
Yeah, move on.
Until that hit comes back, like, oh, I want to play that again. Yeah. And then I just kind of restart that whole cycle again. Now I got to relearn the rules, got to reset up the game, and all that high for a week to then play the game and then watch it go away.
Somebody click on Nick's last comment over there. Carlos needs a shrink, not sleeved cards. This is Carlos's shrink here. This is his therapy right here.
Y'all
Just
don't know
Thursday
this.
night. Thursday
You think
night.
I do this?
Yeah, Thursday
You
night.
think I do this for y'all? I do this for me. This is my therapy.
Yeah, I honestly can't tell if Chris is trolling, which he's not, definitely not. But sleeve shuffle better than unsleeve? No, I mean, come on,
Nick, you're totally wrong.
no. Give me a riffle shuffle any
riffle
day.
shuffle is
Any day.
gonna
Unsleeved
do
riffle shuffle.
way better job of mixing the cards than a slam shuffle.
Any day. Yeah.
It's easier. I agree with that. It's easier to shuffle normally. My Uno decks, Uno cards. I have a dinosaur Uno game I play with my son, and I don't have those sleeved. And it's much easier to shuffle. It's faster just without sleeves. But I like the way the cards feel when they're sleeved. So it's a test.
Well, especially, you're probably not buying like penny sleeves, right? You sound like the kind of guy that's doing the dragon sleeves.
No, yeah.
I
like
tried
Ultra
the penny
Pro.
sleeves. I tried that. I couldn't do it no more.
They just keep coming
I
apart.
can't do it no more.
Yeah.
So think of this. So a game of Earth is $40, 50. So let's say Game of Earth is $50. There's like 200, 300 cards in that game. If you sleeve that game, you turn a $50 game into a $80.
That's
game.
always been my point.
Yeah.
The money you spend on
Guilty, yeah.
sleeving, I could buy another game.
But
Yeah.
y'all
right.
know that every time and listen, I'm not opposed to riffle shuffling. I love riffle shuffling, but I'll riffle shuffle a deck of cards, like a deck of bicycle playing cards, right? I enjoy that because the tension in the card is lost, like its rigidity. It becomes floppy,
Over time.
right?
Yeah.
That's the last thing you want is a floppy card.
Oh no.
All soft
No,
and mushy.
No, give me
right?
a good, well played game.
No, I want-
Yeah, no.
All right, so if you had two games like Earth, two Earth-like games at $50 a pop, that's $100. You sleeve both of them, it's 160, right? What's the chance that over the course of a 2 or 3 year period you played one of those games enough to ruin the cards? Okay, maybe 20%. So maybe you then have to go buy another copy of one of those games. You're still.
But you also
got to
be smart about it. You got to be prepared to re-sleeve. You pick a brand, you stick with it. You always buy that same brand. And when you're done with, remember I told you when I play the game, I'm done with it for a year. I will unsleeve and then move those sleeves to the new hotness that came in, right? But now some games will keep their sleeves. So like Heat, fully sleeved, it's going to stay that way. Great game. It's staying that way. It's coming out regularly.
Or you have games that are half sleeved like Star Wars.
That's because the expansion came in. I have to now go finish sleeving.
Look what you
anyway.
started, Chris. Look what you started. All right, so back to Chris's question. We're straying way off track here. So,
No. This is what I wanted. I wanted to open up the discussion. You guys are doing awesome.
all right, Chris.
Great.
So when you first asked your question again about the percentage of what your percentage of all the other stuff is versus actually playing, or what percentage of the time you enjoyed those other elements more than playing, my initial reaction was, is this a real question? I mean, playing the game is 100% of the purpose. But the more I think about
Not
it,
for Carlos.
right, not for Carlos apparently. But the more I think about it, there definitely, even though I had that initial reaction, there definitely have been games that I've enjoyed more. And I only own a couple of what I would consider like kind of my Grail games. One of my Grail games for a long time was Mechs versus Minions. I have almost not played Mechs versus Minions. I've owned it for years, and it took me years to research it, decide to make the purchase, learn how to play it, do all the research, get it in, get it all set up out on the table, and then I played one time with my kids. I packed it back up. It's in the centerpiece of my collection on my game shelf. It's at the top, sitting up nice and prominent with other games huddled all around it, and it's kind of like the centerpiece of one of my Grail games. And I would have to say that the acquisition, the researching, and all that in that particular game, that was probably 90% of my enjoyment. The playing the game was okay. It was all right. It was a good game. And I've got a few other games on my shelf that are like that. If I were to think about the whole collection, though, as a whole, what each of those elements were, I would still have to say that playing the game for me is a large percentage. It's probably 80%, 90% of the time. That's the real purpose. That's the real thing that I'm getting to. But there, again, my knee-jerk reaction was 100%. And the more I think about it, it's definitely not 100%, but it is still a large percentage for me.
Yeah, I think I'm like 75, 80%, because I think of there are some games that I love that I own, and I don't play as often as I want to. Rococo is one that comes to mind. I love the game, the original old copy, and then I got the blinked out copy, right? So similar with like Wyrmspan, like the nesting box, and like I think even the best one I have is the game that I love to bash on is Sentinels and Multiverse. I spent all that time buying the giant box and everything for the game and organizing it, and now I don't play the game, but I got this giant 75-pound box of cards that just sits there in my game room. So, but I would say in general, 75-80% of the time it's about playing the game. There's a 20% where it's like the organization, the purchase, all that other stuff. I think adds up to it. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. What about people that play miniatures games? It's like, I bet for them, they like painting the minis, right? I mean, that could be half the enjoyment right there.
Yeah, and that's really where I came from. Like my first foray into board game really started as miniature gaming. So that could be why we're so different at this table. Where for me, wargaming was my introduction to this world, and the majority of that was done at home by yourself. Painting, assembling, reading the rules, building armies, multiple army lists. All that was the fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a big difference.
All right, Chris, great call.
As always.
Great. Well, great. Thank you for your feedback, guys.
And
Y'all
now I
have a
see, because
wonderful
Chris
night.
does a good job, before you go, Chris does a good job of sharing like where the deals are.
Oh, yeah.
On good games. So,
you can tell he does his research.
Right, because that's one of his highest. What is it? It's like Strength Finders, right? Or what's that book? Love Languages, right? Like we're learning like our gamer languages. Like Chris's gamer language is finding the deals.
Okay.
Right?
Well, deals on the games that he champions, like Namiji and Shelfie Stacker. He's like, hey, it's out here, guys. It's cheap.
It's kind of making sense with his personality. That's a big part of his identity in gaming is getting the good games at the right price. At just maybe $1 over 100, so he gets that free shipping without having to go too far over $100.
Yep.
Yeah.
Part of the game.
Absolutely.
Stay warm.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I will do. You guys stay cool.
We'll try.
God bless, Chris.
Thanks for calling, Chris.
See you.
All right.
So we had Chad Stilson here saying I only sleeve games that I need to shuffle during the game. But I like this point too. Is even better. He used matte sleeves and he sleeved Expeditions, but then it washed out the artwork from that crazy artwork. That's
I'm with Chad on this one. Like I just got into matte sleeving. I matte sleeved all of Furnace, right? But then I matte sleeved. What game was it? It was recent. It may have been the one of the war games I have, but the text got washed out.
Blurry, right?
Right. The matte sleeves really, and I was struggling with reading the cards on the table.
Yeah, that's no good.
So now I'm like, I think I'm going back to glossy sleeves.
Clear sleeves, yeah.
I know that it has a lot of the glare, and I can see that when I take pictures of the game. But the matte, Chad's right. The matte does wash out. It kind of frost, like it creates like a frosty layer over all of it.
I think even it's Stonemaier games, so Expeditions and Apiary and definitely Wyrmspan and Rococo and his other games, the linen finished cards. Like I would never sleeve a linen finished card because the feel of that linen finish, it's so cool. That the tactile feel of linen finished cards, I just could never sleeve those.
Shout out to Board Game Dave. Hey guys, nice to see Endeavor Age of Sail there on the table. Such an amazing game.
One of my all-time favorites.
Fun fact, that's the only game on my shelf of shame.
Oh, boy.
Damn, Dave.
What, did he say amazing game and then on a shelf of shame? Okay. All right. Well, it's one of my all-time faves. I just threw this up here just because we had it laid out. We got a quick game in. I don't know that I've ever played this two-player. I've played it probably about 10 times now.
We've never played two-player.
Yeah, so I thought this was our first two-player game. I didn't love it at two-player. There's one side of the board is a 2, 3, or 4 players. The other side is, I think, 4 or 5. And the two-player, even on the smaller map, is just a little too open. You can kind of do everything. You can do what you want. I like my games, as we've discussed in the past, I like tight resources. I like tight action opportunities. I like making tough decisions. This was a little too open at 2 players, so I definitely prefer my Endeavor probably at 3 or 4, maybe 5 players. But yeah, a great game no matter what, even though we knocked this out, quick. I mean, this was well under an hour for the 2 of us tonight.
Nice. I did enjoy that piece of it, Rob. When it comes to the game at 2 players, it was fast. It also, again, got to do like our caller Daryl talked about, the whole doing reps, like exercise reps. So I got some reps in on the game and the mechanisms and how to combo things, right? That felt good.
Been a little while since you played, so it kind of refreshed you on the rules and stuff. Yeah,
that was enjoyable in the game itself. But then what I found difficult was my goal in this game today was to abolish slavery. Like this is probably the first time I've seen slavery abolished in all of my plays of Endeavor Age of Sail.
Seen it a few times, but,
but being at the 2-player level, like you need help from other people in order to abolish slavery.
Yeah, that's for sure. That was my first thought. I took that first. Actually, we each took one slavery card.
Now, you took the first one.
I took the first one. You took the second one. So we each did take one. But when you started moving through that other deck, I was like, okay, well, that's fine. It's going to hurt you.
But then it bothered me because you stopped taking cards.
Well, yeah, because I knew it was going to hurt you as bad as me. We both had one card. So the abolition hit us both. So I can't remember who took the first. I guess I did take the first one. So actually, I had the one with less on it.
Right.
So you were actually hit probably harder than I was.
But my goal was to abolish slavery, but I found that it is harder at 2 players.
Yeah.
It's still a good game.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It is just a bit too open.
Yeah, it is a little too many options.
Now, our scores were still tight. I think you were 64 points to my 59.
Something like that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So a 5-point spread, which you took that 5-point card, the 5-point Europe goods card.
Yeah, the last one, yeah.
Because I had planned on taking the last 2.
Yep.
I was working everything I could to set up to be able to
through that deck, so I was like, I better grab one. Yeah.
I'm done with you.
Yeah. Hey, I watch. I pay attention. I see what's going on.
Hey, you snatched that 5-pointer from me.
Yeah, you whittled it down. I grabbed the 5-pointer. Yeah. Anyway.
Great game, Dave. Good call out.
Yeah, great game. Oh, he says he has played it, finally bought it for my own collection, just haven't played my copy. Okay, that makes more sense.
That's okay.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's. I don't really consider that. Well, I do still put those on my shelf of shame, but well, actually, no. You know what?
Yeah,
I think I did for a while, and then I moved those off. Actually, no, I don't keep them on my shelf of shame anymore.
Yeah, if I've played a physical copy of the game, I don't count if I haven't played my copy of it.
Yeah. I did
funny
for a while,
is,
but I moved them.
Rob and I disagree on this.
Yeah.
But I will take games that I've already played, but my copy hasn't been played. I will take those games with me to Dice Tower, right, to the con, in order to get my copy played.
Yeah.
Like I'm with Dave on this one. Like I feel like my copy is shameful because it hasn't been played.
No. I got enough copies of other games that I haven't played yet that I need to get in the rotation.
Well, you always tell me, Carlos, there's plenty of copies of the library. Why are you bringing this? They have like 5 copies, and I'm like, no, because I need my copy
I gotta
played.
get that played.
Say, well, I mean, what about so my copy of Endeavor has been played, just not by me.
There you go. It's a used copy, so it's been played.
Used copy.
They call that the stranger.
Yeah. No, it's not a stranger. It was Z Camilla.
Oh yeah,
I bought the Dice Tower copy.
Important people.
Did you laminate that score sheet yet?
Yeah.
Yeah. I laughed when I was watching the top 100 and Tom hit. It was around 20. He had. It just jumped out of my head. I have the copy I got at the retreat. I got the copy, his old copy of it, because they reprinted it. The one with the it's the pyramids. You do the 4-sided die. You're rolling over the pyramids. It has a tech tree. You're in ancient Egypt. Kemet, there it is, Kemet. Yeah, so he was talking about how much he enjoys Kemet. I was like, I have Tom's old copy of Kemet.
It's like we're playing charades or Boulder Dash or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Describing the game.
And the things, and you roll the things.
2 syllables.
There you go. Anyway. Yeah, but I thought, Kemet's good. I got to play it again. I played it one time. Actually, I played it at Dice Tower. It was probably the copy that I ended up getting eventually, because I think I played it out of the Dice Tower library. But I got to get that played. I got to teach the kids or something. But
what else did I get played this past week? Air, Land, and Sea.
Oh, okay. You played that.
So I didn't get to talk too much about that.
It's been a while, yeah.
Here's what's funny about that. So I'm going to bring up Air, Land, and Sea. Air, Land, and Sea is a card game by Arcane Wonders. They also have, it's a World War II themed game, but it's also... They have a new version, which is Critters. They changed it to like little
woodland animals.
And polymorphic,
anthropomorphic. Or,
that thing.
Yeah, there you go.
Animals.
Yep.
But I played it and then watched the top 10 all-time, top 100 all-time for Board Game Co.
Yep.
Alex from Board Game Co. put that as his number 10 all-time favorite game.
Wow. Okay.
Number 10.
That's that's a little crazy.
I know.
Yeah.
But he's not wrong. It is a really good game.
I don't know.
Robert and I played Western Legends Showdowns last week, which is a light 2-player game with 3 areas that you're trying to take control of by playing cards to these 3 areas. And it got me thinking about Air, Land, and Sea, the card game from Arcane Wonders, which does a similar thing. It plays with 3 goals, so the 3 objectives: air, land, and sea. You see what they did there?
Really?
Air, land, and sea. You're trying to take control of these theaters of World War II. So each player, 2-player game, are going to play cards to each theater to try to get more strength in that area in order to take control of those theaters. But what really makes air, land, and sea stand out is their withdrawal mechanic.
Yeah.
So at the start of your turn, you can look at your card, either first player or second player, they're going to have different numbers. And it says if you have this many cards left in your hand and you withdraw right now, your opponent gets 2 victory points, 4 victory points, or 6 victory points. So it's going to depend on how deep you go into that battle. When you choose to withdraw is going to be how many points you give away. So it really adds this strategic aspect to this light, small, 18-card deck tactical game. It's an 18-card deck tactical game. Really light, really small. But when you throw in that whole, I draw my 6 cards, and these are the 6 cards I'm going to play, and you look at those 6 cards and have to tell yourself, can I win this battle with these 6 cards? And the better you get at understanding that, the better you're going to be at the game. Because if you think, yeah, I can pull this off, and you get too deep into that battle, you're going to give them 6 points. When one player has 12 victory points, they win the game. So that's what really amps that game up, and that's why I see why Alex really calls it out as a great game. So Air, Land, and Sea, Arcane Wonders.
One other, another mechanism in that game that I like a lot that I don't see too many other places, that you can play cards to the wrong theater, but you play them face down.
Yes.
And you're showing the back of the card, and it's worth like, what, 1 point or
2
something?
points.
2 points versus...
The back of every card has 2 points on it.
And then there's cards in there that when you play them, they will allow you to flip over a card that was previously played face down. So there's a neat mechanism there that you can play it in the wrong theater, and it's only worth 2 points, but it may be like 8 points on the other side, but you don't want to or can't play it into the correct theater. But then later you might be able to play a card that says flip another card in another theater that's currently face down. You flip it over, and now bang, it's still in the wrong theater, but now it's worth 8 points to that theater.
But not just that. Whenever you flip a card face up, it triggers its ability. Every card has either a value, and all the lower value cards have better abilities than the higher value cards.
Yeah.
So Rob's right. You might take a card, put it in a different theater because you have air, land, and sea. Those are your 3 suits that you're playing. The cards are valued 1 to 6. Right, that makes 3 times 6 makes 18. 18 cards in the deck. There you go. So 1 through 6. 6 has no ability whatsoever. 5 through 1 have abilities. I might play that in the wrong theater because I can't or won't choose to play it there, but then I'll play a different card that allows me to activate or flip a card. Now I flip the card and it triggers its ability. So there's a lot of comboing back and forth.
Yeah, thematically it may not make sense. You may play a boat on the air theater, which may not make a whole lot of sense. But anyway, other than that, who needs
there's
theme?
airships inside.
Who needs
I think
theme?
we'll be okay.
Throw them out. Yeah.
Air, land, and sea.
Yeah.
Awesome little card game.
Yep. Anything you want to hit, Wayne, that you played?
My kid and I'm playing like my first Catan and Zombie Kids and some kids type games. We have messed around, played like a game and a half of Skulk Hollow. And it's
cool.
He's getting it, and we're just kind of like, I think probably over the next week we'll play a few more times, and he'll really get it, and then we'll get grok in it and get going. But I can see where it's a fun game. Like he's already like wanting to play other monsters other than the Grok or whatever the first monster guy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's like, I want to try the other guys. I'm like, well, let's play it a few times and get this down first, and then we can go from there and then switch it back. But I think that'll be a game that I definitely like it, and I'm glad I got it. And I think it's a game a really good 2-player game that's kind of asymmetrical. That's good.
I want to play against you, Wayne. Like I want to play against a grown up. Like
yeah.
I'm playing with my boy, but I want to play against you.
That's what it is. I think it's a game that I will have fun playing with my kid, but I think I will have more fun playing with.
Now, if we can get Rob to buy Skulk, what is the other one?
The follow up,
the Frost one. Apparently, they all mix and match.
Yeah, you can mix and match them.
So
be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, but that's a lot of games I know it's like really kiddie game, but like even like Stratego, like him and I have been playing Stratego over the last couple months, a couple times, and it's like the tacticalness of it is hard for a 9-year-old, 10-year-old to grasp, because I've been playing these kind of games for 30, 40 years, right? I have there's an experience gap there that's hard for me, so I have to kind of like not dumb my play down, but I'm like not going as hardcore as I would probably against Carlos,
the gamer, another adult, yeah.
Another adult, yeah.
My only plays recently, this last week, I should say. I think me and my daughter got in another scenario of Jaws of the Lion, and so that was fun. Always, although I say it was fun, it was one of those scenarios where we lost in about 20 minutes, and we had set aside 2 hours to play, and so we lost in 20 minutes. It's like, well, we can reset this and try to blast through it again. But we've only got now an hour and a half, and this scenario is probably going to take 2 hours. So we ended up kind of bowing out and not doing it. So we'll have a better idea what to do next time. But this one kicked our butt pretty quick. So that's
which
part of
scenario was it?
part of Jaws of the Lion. We're like 6 or 7 in, so we're not that far still.
Yeah.
But it
that's
was
right where you hit there's a real tough one. Like every I feel like in Jaws of the Lion, it's like every 6 or so. There's like a really oh wow, that's
a tough one.
Yeah,
that's probably where we're at. Then is that first kind of that? It's our second boss, but it's the harder version of the same boss that we fought the first time. And so, it's we beat the first one really easy, and so it was almost too easy. And then the second one, sometimes that game just comes down to kind of some card flips, and there is definitely some chance and some luck in it. But anyways, it is what it is. We'll hopefully have a better run next time. And we've definitely experienced that in Frosthaven and Gloomhaven. And so I'm looking forward to tomorrow night. We are going to get back to Frosthaven for the first time in a while. Joe and Nick and I are meeting up at Nick's house tomorrow night. We're planning on a late night session. Hopefully maybe 2 sessions, maybe 2 games. We'll get them in. We'll see how long it takes. But we're going to hopefully stay up late and play some Frosthaven tomorrow night. Get back on that horse. It's been a few months since we played for various reasons, but really looking forward to that. I was going to mention, move the cursor just a little bit there. Chad Stilson threw out a question before we get too close to wrapping up, because I know we're hitting 11 o'clock here on Eastern Coast. What's everyone's take on Wyrmspan? Who's excited? I feel that if I get it, I will probably sell my Wyrmspan copy. I don't play Wyrmspan so often that I want both. Thoughts? I want to throw a quick thought here just before everybody else jumps in. My thought is I like the idea of Wyrmspan a lot, although I'm not sure that I love it more than Wingspan, and that's kind of weird because I didn't really consider myself too much of a bird enthusiast before Wingspan, but it definitely turned me more onto that stuff and more into that world. But my first knee-jerk reaction is I own most of, not even all, but most of the expansions to Wingspan, and so I can't see myself replacing Wingspan at this point, just because I am invested in Wingspan. If I eventually end up with Wyrmspan, I'll have to see more about Wyrmspan, but if I do eventually invest in it, I probably would not be getting rid of my Wingspan. But thoughts, guys? What do you think?
Carlos or
Wayne, you got nothing? You got
no, I got stuff. I
Go
didn't
ahead.
know if you. All right. So I'm like ebbs and flows. It depends on the day, right? So when it first came out, I thought it was this is a joke, right? But it wasn't, obviously. And then I'm like, I already own Wingspan, and not only do I not, I own everything for Wingspan, nesting box, and everything that's come out. So I'm kind of heavily invested in that. I was like, well, do I really need Wyrmspan? But then as I've learned about the rules of Wyrmspan and the caves and carving the caves, and that it's a little bit more complicated, and some of the things that I really love Wingspan. It's like a top 10 for me. But there's some things that gets a little funky. Like I still think at the end of the game, like you just spam eggs, if you've built, there's still a little bit of that like anticlimactic last couple of turns. If you don't have a bunch, if it didn't hit right, then you just spam eggs. So I'm like, and I've watched Jamie's videos on it, harkening back to all his design diaries and research. Yeah. And I'm like, this looks really cool. So I'm kind of like 50-50 on buying it. If I buy it, I'm not getting rid of Wingspan, because I have the nesting box and my plant, and I own every expansion. So when the other expansions come out, I'm going to buy those as well. So it would be something that I have Wyrmspan on top of my Wingspan, but then I going, well, do I need a more complex Wingspan? Because I have Wingspan, and then if I want more complex, I have 200 other games to play with. So I like it. I think it looks great. I think the artwork looks cool. I think the theme is great. So I'm like 50-50 on whether I'm going to buy it. I am a Stonemaier champion, so depending on the price, I'm a little bummed that like there's not like an all-inclusive deluxe copy. It's like you buy the base copy and then you can add on the deluxe components. So I think he printed 100,000 copies, and I think it's going to sell out pretty damn quick. And
we'll
like
see.
it was what I found was interesting is Ignacy and them talked about it today on the Board Games Insider podcast, and they were like 100,000 print run is like mind blowing to them. Yeah, I mean, we're talking just Bonacore and Ignacy, and they're like, that's like 20 times a big print run for most of our games. Like that's so for him to print 100,000 copies, he's pretty sure this is going to be a hit.
He's all in, yeah.
He's all in on that. I mean, that's a lot of copies.
It is a lot.
Copies right off the bat. Like that's crazy. So most print runs are 10 at max 20, right? 5, 10 in that range, and this is 100,000 units. So that's a lot. Carlos?
I think I'm going to get Flamecraft.
Flamecraft. Oh.
All right, so let me get you how I got there. Let me teach you how the brain works.
All right.
So like I'm researching this whole Wyrmspan thing, right? Like dragons. Okay, I play D&D. You know, I haven't read through all the dragons, the chromatic ones.
Yeah.
Like I've never been like to me, it's like the same reasons I don't like Superman. Like they're too OP. Like they're so strong, right? Like why even bother? Like you can't defeat that. So I've never even enjoyed that part. So the whole dragon thing doesn't get me going. But I was like researching Wyrmspan. It kind of led to a review of Flamecraft, and then I was like, you know, I think I might want Flamecraft.
Have you played Flamecraft yet?
Not yet.
Oh,
so it's
all right.
But you see, to answer Chad's question, my research of Wingspan led me to say I might want a different dragon game over this one.
And I don't disagree with you there because, like, for me,
I don't know how I got there, but I got there.
Wingspan is slightly, a 2.5 or 3.0 rating, so it's a slightly heavier than normal gamers game. This is going to be heavier than that. Well, once you get in that range, then you're getting into a whole other realm of games. Whereas Flamecraft is actually lighter than Wingspan, I don't own Flamecraft. I've played a few times. I think my kid would enjoy it. I'm waiting on my copy of Creature Comforts, and that's sort of in that kid weight game that I want to get my kid into. Creature Comforts, Flamecraft. I would look. I have looked to buy copies of Flamecraft. Of course, I want the deluxe copy, not the retail copy. But I would own Flamecraft as a game that I could play with my wife and kid. I have Wingspan, and then when I get past Wingspan, do I really want Wyrmspan? Or do I want to go play Le Havre or Castles or Concordia or, all those other games? So it'd be interesting.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Sam's saying, Flamecraft, try before you buy. Play Nick's copy first. Nick has
Nick's
a very nice fancy copy.
Yeah.
He'll gladly bring it and bust it out.
No, I've seen his copy at the brewery. It was a game day. He had it there.
Yep, we played it.
I know Rob gave me his descriptions of the game, but then I saw it on the table. Like, this is pretty pretty. This is a pretty
nice.
game.
It looks
it's a fun game. It's not a bad game. It's good. So
it's just light. It was lighter than I was expecting. So
all right, before I go, because I forget things fast, I'm gonna run through my last play, the last play I want to highlight. Sonar. So I know it's been on my shelf for a long time. Sonar. It's not Captain Sonar.
Okay,
let's be clear.
Yep.
Sonar is like the little brother of Captain Sonar. So Captain Sonar is the game that we tend to play at cons.
Real time.
It's a large 4-player versus 4-player real-time submarine game where one person's the captain, another person's like the weapons officer, another person's the engineer, another person's the radio operator, and you're all working your own jobs to try to find the location of the other submarine that's across the divider. You got a divider across the table that kind of shields you from being able to see each other's stuff, and everybody's there, pencils down, heads down, trying to figure out where the other submarine is, and do we have the systems right and charged up in order to fire torpedoes? Do we need a drone to go out or sonar to ping so we can help figure that out? Lots of fun. I mean, the stories that we get out of it is great. Sonar is not that. Sonar is the little brother version of that. It's a 2-player
Turn-based.
versus 2-player, and it can be 1 versus 1, but it's 2 to 4 players, and it's turn-based. So there isn't the stress of the real time. The captain is still the captain. The captain is consolidated as deciding where the ship goes, where the submarine moves, when to surface, what actions to take. The captain decides that. And then the radio operator, the captain is charging the weapons and firing the weapons. Radio operator's listening to the other side, trying to figure out where they're moving and trying to map out and plot out where the opponent is. I didn't know what to expect with it. My son is doing Navy ROTC, Junior Navy ROTC, NJ ROTC. So he's been going to all these naval stations and Coast Guard stations and telling us stories. And I thought, man, this would be a fun game to bust out with the family, kind of like in that Navy theme, because he's got everything Navy now for him. So we busted it out. I had a good time.
Oh, yeah?
Like, this was a truly pleasant surprise. Don't sleep on this one. For you folks that have heard the stories of Sonar or Captain Sonar at the cons,
Chaos.
but you know that the only time you're ever going to play it is at the cons because you can't get that much people. This is a great family weight intro game for non-gaming family members. They'll ask you, "Oh, so we're just playing like Battleship?" Yes,
Sure.
Yeah.
it is very much
and-
kind of like Battleship.
Yeah, and Captain Sonar, you can there are rules in the book to play it turn based. So you can take Captain Sonar, but the issue with Captain Sonar is you really need more than 4. I think the minimum
Right.
is you need 6 because you can combine 2 of the 4 into one. What is it?
The captain can take a second roll. I
Something
think.
like that, yeah. And so you can go to 6, but you really need 6, and it's turn based as opposed to 4 and turn based. But yeah, that's cool. And I think the Sonar's mass market. You can probably get at Target and other
Oh
places.
yeah, it was at. I think that's where it started. Was Target? Yeah.
And I think in Captain Sonar, I think I went on like a 5-game run where my team never lost. I think it was 5 or 6 games in a row before I as the captain, acting as captain. I played more than that, but whenever I'm the captain, look at me, look
I'm
at
the
me,
captain now.
look at me. I'm the captain now. When I'm the captain, we don't lose. I'll tell you what, playing Sonar, I'm winless.
Oh yeah.
Like little Sonar, I'm winless. Like I'm getting
Can't
stomped.
survive outside the chaos.
So that tells me that this is a good balanced game, a good family weight. I'm not going to call it an intro game, but for a gaming family, this is a fun activity.
Yep. Takes
I'd
different
say this.
skills.
So
yeah.
at either a game day or Dice Tower East, we have to get the full
8-player.
8-player Captain Sonar. I have everything.
We've done it most years. I don't think we did it this last
We
year,
didn't
but
do it
we've
last
done
year.
it.
No, we didn't.
We might have done it every year before that. This may have been the first last year. May have been the first year we didn't play it. Yeah.
What we need to do is get like some PVC pipes and a bunch of visqueen black tarp
Oh yeah.
and like make a tunnel, like turn off all the lights, just a red light in there,
Yeah.
like really like ham it up, RPG it.
That would be fun.
Sure.
I can be Sean Connery.
Yeah.
Well, they had at like Gen Con and some of the cons. What's the one where you're flying the plane? It's like the 2-player game where they're flying. You're trying to land the plane. Just came out.
Sky Teams.
Sky Team,
I want that.
They
I
had
want
like
that.
a cockpit set up where like they had like the booth for demoing it was kind of cool. Like that immersive experience would be awesome. But yeah,
I played it online with a random person online and actually enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. Trying to just learn the game.
Sky Team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's on BGA.
it's-
We got to get
it's
some
pretty
BGA
good.
plays that in.
Yeah, that's where I played. It was on BGA. I just wanted to learn it, so I just jumped on there with a random person, and it was fun. I liked it. Yeah, I'm looking forward. I'd like to play it more with people I know. Especially
I've been
around
wanting
the
to
table.
buy it. You're giving me a reason.
Yeah,
man. Let me
so
go read the rules
Go
and I'll
buy
let
it.
you know.
It's good. Yeah.
Or Rob, I'll set up a 2-player game and send you a friend.
Okay.
invite.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah.
That's all I had. Those are the ones. Those are the plays that I wanted to highlight.
That's
so
it for
I'm,
me.
I'm tapped out.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Wayne.
No, I'm
Yeah.
good. This is the first week of school this week, so I haven't been able to get too many games in between first week of school and practice and other stuff. So, but then we got potentially 2 game days this weekend. So plug them again. The Wesley Chapel Board Game Group up at the Grove Saturday, and then on Sundays the Tampa Gaming Guild. They have a flea market. I think it's 2 to 4 is a flea market, and then even if you're not a member, you can stick around and game the rest of the day. So that'll be good.
Yeah, if you've ever wanted to go to Tampa Gaming Guild and not pay,
Yeah.
not be a subscriber or a member, this
And-
Sunday's
yeah.
the Sunday to go.
And it won't even.
All are
I know there's
welcome.
there's like a guest thing. Like the first time you go, you can go as a guest. So this probably won't even count as that. And hey, Tom Vassell showed up. Tom Vassell liked it. Talked about it
Yeah.
on the podcast. He was on the table. He talked about how cool location it was. That he wished that more cities would have like a Tampa Gaming Guild. So that's kind of cool.
Good work. All right, everybody. Well, as always, we appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you tell people about us. Check out the audio podcast. Wayne and Mike got back to that. What about a week and a half ago?
We're shooting for like 2 a month, so we'll do another one probably next week, and then go from there.
Yeah, good stuff going on there.
Oh, in the news front, dude, check this out,
dude.
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 Okay, we watched Good Burger. Okay,
there you go.
the Good Burger movie.
The new
You're a
one?
dude. She's dude. I'm a dude. We're all dudes. Check us out. If you're on the YouTube, you will see we finally made status where folks can super chat.
Oh,
we
that's new.
we
Yeah.
made it.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Achievement unlocked.
Nice.
We are now super chattable.
Super chattable.
So if you're looking to throw some money our way, super chat is a way to do that on the YouTubes.
$1 here, $1 there.
Yeah, I think you could for like $1 or something. You can send in the chat. We got to figure out how that works out and how to monitor that. But
yeah, during the show.
I just wanted to share that with you guys,
That's cool.
Wayne,
Yeah.
Rob.
Yeah,
We-
I'm there. I'll check it
moving
out.
up. Moving up in the
I feel
world.
like validated. Like we're
It's
real YouTubers now.
Just the opposite of that. My 11-year-old asked me, we were in the car the other day. He's like, Dad, how many subscribers do you have to the show now? I was like, I don't know. We're like somewhere between 650 and 700. He's like, no, really? How many? I was like, between 650 and 700. He's like, I thought you guys were at least at 1 million. He goes, no real YouTuber is under 1 million from an 11-year-old's perspective. And I was like, no, we're doing this for fun.
And
we're not doing this as a living. Yeah.
650 followers is actually a lot.
Yeah, that's funny. Like I say, it's from the perspective of an 11-year-old. They're watching.
Dude, but our average view in the last year is over like 24 minutes.
Yeah. No. We're doing
Like,
a thing. Yeah.
That's a long time for an average view.
I'm not disappointed. We've been doing this a couple of years, and we're doing it one night a week. We're not putting out a ton of content, but we're regular. We're doing what we need to do, and we're doing it completely for fun. Talking about whatever we want to talk about. So
Yeah.
I'm satisfied.
Yeah, there's
Slow but
there's the button. It's got a little dollars. I'm looking at it now.
Yeah, I can see it right now. Yeah.
It's got a little dollar sign
Nice.
on it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna send myself
You
a
send
dollar.
yourself $1 just to do it.
I'm gonna be the first one to do it. I'm gonna send myself a super chat.
See if it works.
Let's see. It's $2. I'm gonna hit go to purchase.
Chad says you've made it.
Yeah, Chad, we did. We're real. I have to. Okay, so then
would
what's
beat
my
you to it,
password?
Coach, but I don't have a credit card in my YouTube, so
No.
Smart man.
I don't have my wallet here, so I can't do it. But that's cool, man. That's awesome.
You kids and all your newfangled technology.
Let's see if this works. I'm gonna.
I want to see if it pops up in the chat here on the
Oh, it
on the
definitely will.
YouTubes. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Will we see it on here though? That's the question.
Let's see on our,
We're all set.
Oh, there it
Yeah.
is. Just popped up
Oh,
there.
look at that! I
nice.
sent myself $2.
$1.99. Cheapskate.
Was great.
Save the penny.
You spent $2 to get $1.50 back.
$1.99. Yeah.
It says, "Let's celebrate their first super on live stream."
Nice.
I super chatted myself.
First one.
What's great is YouTube will send me, I think, $1 of that.
So you just paid $1 to get $1. Yeah.
$2 well spent.
I wanted to see how that worked out. There you go, guys. You're with me.
Woohoo.
You were with me on the episode.
We did it.
We made it to partners, YouTube partner. I think it is.
Oh, is that what it is? Yeah.
I don't know.
Moving up in the world.
Yeah, we're
Pretty
old.
soon we're gonna get that million subscriber plaque. That
There you go. My 11-year-old will be happy. Yeah, you hit 1 million.
All right, folks. I'm Carlos.
I'm Rob.
I'm Wayne.
We're the Beans and Dice Podcast, a podcast about
How we get?
Game.
Thanks for watching the Beans and Dice podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Bye, everybody.